It's cold outside.
Freezing.
That's the breaking news for today. It's cold outside all across the country.
I almost didn't make it here. Austin doesn't know how to do snow plows, man.
Right.
It's scary.
Well, it's just part of our, ingenuity, our liberal survival instincts here in the city of Austin.
What's it like for you guys out there?
Yeah.
Let's see the chat. So is it 24 inches? A lot of ice? Where are you guys at?
What's up, Samantha? What's up, Kurt? What's up, Thomas Blackfire? What's up, Alexander? What's up, Mal Johnson? How are y'all doing tonight? This is going to be a very fun show. It's also going to be a very serious show as well, because we're going to get into the first topic, which is, it's pretty tough. And me and Tim have discussed this a little bit, and we'll get into what's been happening in Minnesota. But around 8 p.m., we're going to be joined by one Alex Stein, primetime Alex Stein, formerly of The Blaze. Now he's independent.
Yes,
and that's going to be really fun. So you're going to want to be here tonight. Tim, did you send me the link so I could share it to him?
Yeah, it's on X.
Okay, it's on X.
I sent it to you on X.
Perfect. So you've got a deep dive as well. What do you want to get into tonight?
Guys, we are talking about housing affordability. I know I said this last stream, and I was like, you know what? Give the people what they need to know. A lot of people these days have been talking about who's to cause for the housing market situation and why you can't afford houses versus your grandma or your grandpa. Right. So we're going to be diving into all of that. Numbers, facts, graphs, everything.
Right.
And it's going to be very clear to you guys by the end of it. And it's actually going to shock you what's going on. It's like almost in plain sight, but it's very hard because there's so many different things going on in which like they're all being meshed together. So it's not what you think. It's not the big corporations. You'll find out. That'll be after Alex Stein, though.
So the thing we want people to understand is we're currently reformulating things in January, going into February. We're going to have a lot better picture of how things actually look with the new software, the new computer. And of course, Andrew, the badass switching for us, our Jamie, who's really helping us out with the production quality, elevating the show. The main goal is for every Sunday to really be a marquee show. That's when we have a guest. That's when we do the deep dive. That's when it's really, really good. So we appreciate every single one of y'all being here tonight. You won't want to miss it. And you're going to want to tune in. So if you got something to do or you got to talk to someone, that's totally fine. Whatever, come back to the stream. We'll be here in 2 hours doing the same stuff, or an hour, or in 30 minutes. So it's very, very exciting. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
yeah, me too. Me too.
You're really close with Alex.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's been very friendly to me. He's really helped me out a lot recently. It's been a very cool experience. You know, like I went to the Blaze, and the Blaze is owned or run or whatever by Glenn Beck, right? And Glenn Beck and my dad are like mortal enemies, or at least they used to be. So for me, it was very cool to actually go there and get to see what it was about. I didn't get to meet Glenn Beck, the owner or whatever, like one of the managing interests. We know, I'm just gonna keep it at that. One of those people was at the Blaze, and they said hi to me from like looking down at me from 3 stories above. That was pretty cool. But they have a very cool studio. And I really think Alex is going to be able to elevate what he does now by being independent, not having to worry about anybody,
right.
doing anything or controlling anything he says.
Right.
And I think people like him are a lot better that way. And, I'm not sure how familiar you are with his work, but he's a guy that'll do these events. He'll go to a protest, he'll go to a city council meeting, and he'll say some wild stuff.
Yeah, I think why I like Alex a lot and I've seen his content is because you can tell he's still a talking head, but he's like loose and funny about it. And he's also not like supercharged, like
Right.
angry all the time. Like he kind of makes light of the
Well,
situation.
he's a very normal guy, Tim. He's a very normal guy. He's a very good guy, and like we're just very excited and grateful to have him, and just all the phenomenal guests that have showed up. He knows Suleiman. He was kind of the one that told me, like, "Hey, Suleiman's a really cool guy. Like, you should have him on." Right? I didn't know who he was. Right? And Tim's like, "I got this guy coming on, Suleiman." I'm like, "Who is that?"
Yeah,
and I
you just knew he only had previous beef with your dad,
right?
So you were a little worried. Of
Talked to
course,
Alex, and of course, like people are people. People are reasonable, good people. So we had him on. Now we're going to have Alex on again. If you're interested in seeing a past appearance of me, I've been on primetime twice. So if you want to watch that after or at some point in the future, just know that I was on his Blaze show. But I'm very interested to hear about the independent stuff he's got going on now. I know he's building not even a home studio, like a big studio at home or at an office. Yeah, he's getting prepped to do some major stuff. He may even, I heard little birdie told me he might be involved in some fish tank stuff going forward. Damn. So that'd be very interesting to talk to him about, ask him some questions about that. But enough of the fun. Let's get into the news. People have been attacking me because like I haven't given a take yet, or I just say it looks bad or looks horrible. What do you think about the latest ICE thing in Minnesota?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Very hard, different angles.
Right.
A lot of the people's cameras are pretty blurry, or at least whatever's being uploaded is like 720p.
On a potato.
Yeah, you can barely read. It's like basically one of those like CCTV type of things where you can barely see the footage. But I think what's going on there is lack of training. That's really what boils it down for me. I mean, they had everybody out there trying to meet a certain quota, and a real ICE agent probably would have de-escalated before shooting, and they lowered the bar for what it took to actually become an ICE agent. And I feel like that's kind of what's driving a lot of these escalations because of lack of like real training behind what you're supposed to do in those situations.
I look at it and I'm someone like I'm incredibly pro Second Amendment. I've been going to protests, rallies, whatever you want to call them, since like the age of 10 or even younger, right? And a lot of these rallies are like pro Second Amendment rallies that have happened, right? And you see people open carrying or carrying their guns or doing whatever. I went up to Virginia actually. I think it was Virginia. I went to Virginia with Zimmerman like 5 years ago. It's crazy to think about. They had a new gun law that was being signed, and like there were tens of thousands of people in the street with guns protesting. So for me, looking at the scenario where you have an American citizen who's with a girl or someone or whoever, and the ICE roll up on him, and they're doing whatever, and the guy kind of gets in the middle and tries to stop it, which you're impeding law enforcement, but ultimately you haven't committed a crime. Like you're just walking down the street. So they get him, they take his gun, and then they execute him in the street. And people are like, well, they took the gun from him. The gun discharged. It's a SIG P320, which is notorious for discharging. So that's another factor.
So they're saying that the gun accidentally discharged and it wasn't the cops' gun?
People are saying that when they took the gun from the guy and the agent's holding the gun, it's like you say, like it's on a potato. It's incredibly blurry, but it appears to happen in the video. The slide goes forward, like it fires a shot.
So he was killed by accident. Is what
he was killed. Well. The shot was fired by accident, and that made them go gun, and shoot him in the head because the guy holding the gun is not the guy who shot him, right? Okay. So that's the most reasonable approximation of what I've heard. I don't like the way they behave. I think it's thuggish. I think it's cruel. I don't think that the greatest country on earth. I don't think we should have brown shirted people with masks acting like this.
Just curious, the narrative for that. is that coming from the police or is that coming from?
That's coming from
videos?
Videos that I've seen.
Okay.
Videos that I've seen, and like this is one of the prevailing opinions online. The other opinion is like he was a leftist, he deserved to die, and the other opinion is like he is a hero, just protecting. And at the end of the day, it's a tragic accident. Right. Whatever happened, but the people doing it were negligent in training and responsibility, and ultimately shouldn't have had the job.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, and you have one of the clips up, right? Did you have it queued up, the video itself?
Right.
Do you have it?
Yeah, we have all of it. It's all labeled too.
Hey, Andrew, go ahead and pull up the first clip. But what I think I saw was he was in a tussle with some people at first, and then the ice came in to disrupt it.
He's prone on the ground. They have been basically like hog tie position. The other guy has his gun for about like 3 or 4 seconds, and then the gun discharges or whatever happens, and they mag dump into him on the ground.
Okay, Andrew, pull up the clip of
it's all labeled.
One of the clips that shows like what happened from the start.
I got the clip list right here. We'll go ahead and do that. This is why we're getting better doing the show, guys. Still improvements happening. It's not the X account, Andrew. It's the Notion. So it's a Google Doc. I tried. So I'll go ahead and share. I'll go ahead and share with your phone number. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I put it in the Notion. You told me you were in the Notion. Yes.
It's okay. So
it's in the Notion. It's under live shows. It's 12, 25, 26. If we can get it, that'd be great.
All right, you're good. So anyways, from what I've seen, it definitely just looks like a negligence type of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't see the cop going to jail or anything like that. Honestly, they never
cop's not going to jail.
They would never go to jail for something like that, especially with a weapon. Let's go ahead. Whatever clip this is, let's go ahead and play this one. I'm not sure what
I got ones in slow-mo and stuff, but it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. I just made the Google Doc publicly available, and I pasted a link into the group chat. We're all together. All of them are labeled. So go to the one that says video of incident when you can.
Oh, by the way,
just wait a little bit.
By the way, guys, I have it set to where like when Alex Stein comes on, there are super chats available to be read.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, we're trying these things out. As you can see, the chat is on the right side on the live feed. It might be in the left. I'm not sure how you guys are looking at, but they're new upgrades. I know a lot of the time we don't always see the chat. Sometimes things are just flowing and we're just talking, and we don't
got
always
a vibrant community now.
Right. So for people who either want to just support or want to shout out or just want to talk or have us read something, it will stop. We will stop and we will actually read it because it's going to be loud and it's going to say whatever.
Right.
But please, when Alex comes on, I know some people are going to have some questions they want to ask him. You can go ahead and super chat it because that's the easiest way to actually get in touch and actually talk. But please be responsible.
Yeah, let him know.
Yeah, I don't want to have to like revoke privileges for that because we're trying this live and I don't know, but I don't think anybody's going to say anything out of pocket.
Let's not give them any ideas.
Yeah, I know.
Let's not give them any. They're learning. They're evolving. They're evolving. But scroll up in the chat just a little bit.
Yeah.
And they all made a. 1 second. It says video of incident in the Google Doc. On the ground, or it's on the bottom. It's all good. No, it's
this one
a little further down. Right hand filming with phone camera, left hand open and high above his head. Yes, this is the issue I have with it. Is at no point is his hand on a gun, and there's a black blur in his hand when he's on the ground, but that's his cell phone, and it's very obvious that that's his cell phone because it's in the video. So.
Yeah. And some people just panic when they see a gun for some reason.
I mean, I think. Well, I mean, they're afraid of getting shot. I think this is pig behavior. But that's my independent view on it. I know your view is pretty like a lot more nuanced than that too.
Yeah, pretty nuanced.
Yep.
Okay, Andrew, what do you got pulled up for us? What is this clip here?
Thank you.
Go ahead and pull that up for us.
Thank you, Andrew. You're awesome.
Wrestling a man to the ground, and then during that wrestling to the ground, as the man is being wrestled to the ground, agents, it looks like, it appears, shoots the man several times. But again, I want to stress that there is nothing confirmed from officials at this point, nor have I spoken to any eyewitnesses down here as of yet. So I want to be very careful about what we put out here. in these moments, it can become tempting to offer, breathless coverage of what is happening out here. But I want to take this moment to just, breathe and be very careful about, what we know to be true in this moment. Which, what we know to be true is what we can see here, is that there is a large presence of immigration enforcement agents here at the intersection of Nicolay and 26th.
Yeah, it's weird. Like this looks like a war zone, man.
Yeah, well,
Minnesota is something else.
yeah, I want to see the video of it happening, though. We have the video of it happening.
Here, I'm pulling it up real quick, and then I'm going to send it.
All right. The Google Doc's open and publicly available. Like I made a Google Doc for this. If we can't find it, that's okay. I'll stop trying. But I did it. So let me know.
I'm sending the video. You're good, bro.
You're fine. You're fine. Video of incident.
There's a video of incident. I just texted it to you. You're good, man. Actually, I'll send it on X. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a war zone out there. I also had that funny video we'll play later of like this old man, and he like
I have that too.
The one, did you saw the one that disappeared into the smoke?
Into the fog?
Yeah,
mysterious man.
Yeah, man. All right, I just sent it to you on X, Andrew.
All right, we've got the video.
Should be able to pull that one up. There it is. All right, cool.
All right, pause it. Yeah, there's always some howling woman in like any horrible video that you watch. Like, it's like that doesn't help the situation. No matter like no matter what your affiliation is or what you believe.
Right. No, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah, there's always some howling woman. So they've
how many shots? 5? Was that what was? Is that what they said? 5 shots? Yeah, okay, so the reason why I feel like somebody asked why are there so many agents on this one guy? What happened prior to this, and I've seen the video, it looks like this guy was in some confrontation with like 3 other people, and they were just fighting, like almost like rioters just like fighting each other, people just random Joe Schmoes on the street. And then the ICE agents were across the street, they see it, then they come over and there's like 5 of them trying to break up the fight. So that's
I don't think they were fighting. I think it was just a guy and a girl. Like that.
I saw 3 people in the video. Maybe rewind that, Andrew, from the beginning. Oh, this one doesn't cover all of it. These 3 people were before. There's a video that covers before. There was like 3 people here, and they were in some type of confrontation before the ICE agents came over. I'm pretty sure.
I guess those aren't the shoes of an ICE agent. I guess that is another person.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And then the ICE agents come across the street, and there's like 4 of them, and they're trying to break this thing up. And then it gets like way more hectic than it should have.
Right.
So I think wrong place, wrong time for somebody. But
well, I mean, everyone's like that is the real opinion of like what happened is like it's a tragic incident, but everyone's taking an ideological side on it. I view it as pig behavior. I think it's abhorrent that a U.S. citizen was shot 3 times or 5 times, whatever it was, while he was on the ground. I don't think he had a gun or was going for a gun. I think they took his gun. I think it discharged. And, a lot of people are like, Fafo, he brought a gun to a protest. He found it. I've been going to protest for 10 years. I've been going for much longer, actually, 15 years I've been going to protest, and plenty of times have people been armed. In fact, sometimes it's been the entire point of the protest. 3 to the back, 1 to the neck, or 2 to the torso.
Really?
That's what Naom says. I think he's right. It's hard to tell, and I did have a bunch of different angles for it, but it's all good.
Nah, he's got the rest of the document.
I got it.
Let's go ahead and try to see if we can pull up another angle on there. I'm going to see what's on here. So you've got the free shot. Which other one? Still shot of execution. I see that one. Don't bring a Cash Patel talked about this.
Yep.
Wow.
I got it all. I got it all. If we can go to the Trump tweet first, I think that would be good.
That's the middle. That's towards the middle, Andrew.
I got it. It's
And
tiny. I'll go ahead and read it.
all right, just sent it to you. Is that Trump's tweet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just zoom in.
This is the gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is that all about? Where are the local police? Why aren't they allowed to protect the ICE officers? The mayor and the governor called them off. It is stated that many of these police were not allowed to do their job, that ICE had to protect themselves. Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan Omar have millions of dollars in her account? This is where everyone looking at it, if you're independent or if you're already like kind of like on the Democrat leading side, this is where you're going to lose them. This is where it's over, because people read that and you're like, why are you saying that? Why are you talking about that? And why is he doing it? It's a distraction, of course. Why does she have $34 million in her account? And where are the tens of billions of dollars that have been stolen from the once great state of Minnesota? We are there because of massive monetary fraud with billions of dollars missing and illegal criminals that were allowed to infiltrate the state through the Democrats' open border policy. We want the money back, and we want it back now. Those fraudsters who stole the money are going to jail where they belong. This is no different than a really big bank robbery.
Really? Guy dies and this is the response?
Right. And you think the president would be like, this is tragic.
No, he's gaslighting is what it is.
Like here's the thing. The proper response to this is not even necessarily an apology, although I would say one is warranted. I think you get a lot of public respect and credibility that way. And the fact that he talks about this in such a callous way and really just uses it as a campaign message, which is kind of sick, to be honest with you, it shows you that they're not serious. They're not serious people, Tim, because a serious administration is not like this wouldn't get approved.
No.
Right. But of course, it's just him.
Well, nothing gets approved. It's just he's got his phone. He has a random thought and he just sends it.
Well, that's what
regardless
approval
of
is.
whoever.
It's just him thinking about it.
Yeah.
I thought about it, so I've decided that it's true. This is no different than a really big bank robbery. Much of what you're witnessing is a cover-up for this theft and fraud. The mayor and governor are inciting insurrection with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric. Instead, these sanctimonious political fools should be looking for the billions of dollars that have been stolen from the people of Minnesota, United States of America. Let our ICE patriots do their job. 12,000 illegal alien criminals, many of them violent, have been arrested and taken out of Minnesota. If they were still there, you would see something far worse than what you are witnessing today. President DJT. And then we got the gun.
So interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, man. I mean, something like this was bound to happen. You know, I was waiting for it to happen. I thought it would be something domestic that would happen before something foreign. Like we're going to war with Iran now because they need a distraction from this. This is horrible.
Hey, meanwhile, this all happens. We don't have to talk about the Epstein files, right?
Right. Well, those don't exist. Who is that guy?
Right.
Who is that? Is it banana salesman or something?
Very interesting. And this is what I said on, I was on a Spaces yesterday, and I just, sometimes I hop in these things and everyone's got opinions. Cool. But like everybody was sitting there and they were just taking like straw manning each side, not even just thinking like on a macro level of just like, hey, there's more to these situations than what you can just see or hear. People were like, there were guys who were like on the right that were like, our Second Right Amendment is being taken over, and you got to be careful out there. You can't get anywhere without a gun without being shot. This is America. We have Americans dying. And then the other ones on the left side is like, oh, there's ICE agents and we're under duress. And it's like, guys, all of us are sitting here at home, right? Watching all these things take place, right? When you're there, it is a very heightened state. Like you're talking adrenaline on cloud 9, and like just can we actually pull up the video real quick of the guy, the old man? Can you find that, Andrew? I think I sent that on X. Old man, it looks like a war zone.
It's also in the doc. It's under Boomer.
It looks like a war zone. Yep, that's the video. Let's just go and put this in context of what it feels like to be in Minnesota right now.
Fuck you! Stop! Look out! Down! Just chill. Okay. I'm fine. I didn't breathe anything. I'm just angry. I'm 7 years old. Fucking angry. Oh, fuck off. think I'll need it, but we'll try it.
Wow. What a scene in an American city in 20.
It doesn't fade to white. That's
No,
smoke.
that's the smoke. They're throwing smoke to break up the agitators. This is absolutely nuts. I mean, why is Grandpa not at home right now?
Well, this is the thing, and that's the point I wanted to make. Is like this is the hobby. This is the national sport. This is the new American pastime. It's not baseball or football or basketball or any of these things. It's lining up on one side of an event, whether you're ICE or you're like people there to support them, or whether you're there on the left to, like, I guess, defend the illegal immigrants or whatever. This is the new national sport of the country, because the country is in decline. The country is in managed decline. The country is broke. The country is graped, ultimately.
Right.
And there's nothing people can actually do about any of these things, or their grocery prices going up.
You know it's bad when you got Gramps out there at like -3 degrees out, and he's just, I'm just angry.
Right. And
I'm just angry.
that's so key that you touch on that. Like, that's literally like, he's just mad. And like, why are we all so angry? Is that not by design? This is all by design. It reminds me of The Boys so much. It reminds me of season 4 of The Boys so much.
Yeah.
People line up against each other, and it's all politically orchestrated to take control.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what this is.
You're right.
And like, I think they want it to get worse. I think they want ICE to act crazy and to do like unconscionable things, because the more things escalate, the more governmental power can be taken. Because like, they're rebelling against us. They're protesting, doing whatever. We have to do it now. And I've seen Fuentes call for the Insurrection Act.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, Fuentes, I don't always agree with him, but that one is like kind of wild. Like, you don't know what the repercussions of something like that is.
Right.
I mean, I would never go as far as to say that. I think the whole issue with this is like, I see people on the left saying this, and I will have to agree with them. Like, Minnesota is kind of being targeted to a certain extent. Like, again, the fraud and the illegal situations have been spread across the United States. It's not just localized to Minnesota. I think right now, because the midterms are up in 2026, this has become a talking point, and Trump needs a win.
Well, what the hell does Ilhan Omar have to do with a guy getting shot in the street? Ultimately, it has nothing to do with it, but he tries to tie the two together because it's like you say, it's a campaign speech.
It is a campaign speech.
That's what it is.
Because a lot of people were pissed off. One of the main issues, and this was one of my voting issues, right? I said, Biden, there's a lot of illegals in here. I don't know why you're just letting everybody over here, and I don't feel safe we don't know who's actually out here. So this is one of the reasons why I voted for Trump, But now, I didn't ask for this. As I've said on multiple occasions, I did not ask for you to put a quota of 3,000 and not be able to discriminate on who's actually here legally. There are people actually walking around with their papers, and this because ICE has changed their policies. To meet the quota, and you guys can look this up, to meet the quota, they have also said, well, you can also go and arrest people that look suspicious or without reasonable doubt.
Right.
So you open up the can of worms to just anyone who's brown, go pick them up, right? To meet that quota, because not everybody carries their papers with them, and it would take them too long.
You're not required to give a police officer your ID.
Right.
You're not. So it creates a very weird gray area. It creates a very weird gray area where they're trying to do the immigration enforcement. And like, here's the thing. I have a right-wing position on this. I have a left-wing position on this. My right-wing position is I want them all gone. I don't want the people that came here over the past 5 years, the 20 million people, like, they're not essential to the country. They need to leave. So like, people can be, you support ICE. No, I don't support them. And let me tell you why. I don't support them from, I guess, the left wing or just really freedom perspective of American citizens being shot or being demanded, you papers, please, who will show me the paper? Like, it's so disgusting, and I can't find a good side out of any of this. I just look at it, I'm like, boom, the country's screwed.
Yeah.
Right? Like Civil War.
I feel like this is like 2020 all over again. Except
Right.
in 2020, I think in Seattle, they like actually took over an entire building and like a block for like a week, right?
I think they've also been doing some of that in Minneapolis. I think it's kind of turning into a street takeover. I don't know how much the weather is impacting that. I think the weather probably is preventing a lot of, the usual hijinks from being executed.
And there's a lot of people out there in this weather, man.
Right.
I was shocked. I'm like, guys, it's negative like 3. And Minnesota's cold. like cold. We're complaining here in Austin, and with the wind chill there, it's like -10, easy. And people are out there just protesting because they're so angry, so galvanized by the social media. And I think that actually is one of the culprits, even more than just the Trump and the political. It's like the algorithms have created the echo chamber of information to where it's gotten so good, no matter if you're on X, no matter if you're on Instagram, no matter if you're on TikTok, right? Every single one has created a For You algorithm, which keeps pushing you. So if you sit on that video for about 10 seconds or watch the whole way through.
Oh, I saw 30 of them.
It clocks it.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, ooh, you like this.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to go find another post that mimics this, and I'm going to pull it here, and I'm going to keep feeding you, because the longer you stay on the algorithm, the more I make money, because people are paying for ads. Don't you see that?
Yes, and I think that's really key in the accelerationism that we've seen, especially over the past decade, where you have people on social media actually reviewing things hundreds and hundreds of times. I mean, I saw the Kirk thing like 50 times, you know? So whereas in the past, where maybe you see JFK get shot on TV, maybe you hear about it, maybe you see 9/11 happen on TV or whatever, you hear about it, oh, you're freaked out. You're not watching replays of it every 30 minutes for 2 weeks.
Right. Exactly. It's on the news. You get a break from it. It's not in your face. Bro, I have to take breaks from social media now. Isn't that sad? I have to take breaks because I wake up and the first thing is like new shooting on my screen.
Right.
Woo, let's go.
Who died today?
Who died today? That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
You just have to see it, and you have to like, and you know, I love Elon Musk for saving, you know, free speech, in the sense that, like, you know, a lot of people were getting removed and deplatformed from the 2020 era when Facebook and Meta and those whole organizations were going ham on the censorship. But, you know, now it comes with a cost to where you actually get to watch people bleeding out in real time. And guys, by the way, humans, you know, we've done that for generations. We got to a point where that stuff kind of was hidden for a while. So now the reaction is more visceral. No, just seeing actual blood and like I've watched terrorist attack live on my phone. You know, we're not meant to see that type of stuff
you get to
anymore.
See them take Maduro out, literally too. Like it's so wild. All these things, like, we're not really designed to watch footage of like a Ukrainian soldier die in a creek as he like runs away from an FPV drone.
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. And then what it does is it creates that feedback of just feeling like everything is doom and gloom. And reality is, Rex, you and I go outside right now. There's no bombs. There's no war happening. There's no chaos going. It's the only real chaos is the affordability issue.
That's what I was saying.
That's the real war.
There's a war at the grocery store. There's a war at the gas station. There's a war when you go to buy building supplies. There's a war when you go to try to, you know, engage in some public service that they're supposed to owe you, but no driver's license for a month. It's okay.
Now, thought experiment. Would you rather have them address this ICE issue or the affordability issue? Because at this point, this is gone. It's gone off the rails, and we're spending resources to do this, right?
Well,
we're already down the sink cost fallacy.
Well, they're going to address neither issue. They're going to make both worse. And that's kind of the platform, right? It's the outrage politic. And it's on both sides, too. Like, you have the ICE show up and do these things. You also have, you know, the left-wing groups that are there, you know, giving people masks to cover their faces, giving people beanies and protesting supplies, whatever. You can go, that's good, evil ICE, whatever, I want to protest, blah, blah, blah. It's organized. It's all organized. This is all being done by design. This is part of the societal collapse.
Yeah, and what made me realize that was, I think there was riots in California, and then they had like the van pull up, and you had people there handing out bats and like clubs.
Oh yeah,
and like weapons. And I'm like, wait, isn't this supposed to be a peaceful protest? These guys have masks on and they're out there handing things out for people to incite violence.
Right.
Sure as hell that's happening here too. They just have to take a car and just go drive wherever the action's happening.
Right. And this is why it's so horrible to me, is like the things I advocate for is like, you look at the civil rights movement, the success of the civil rights movement, look how peaceful everyone was, and the way that things were done with nobility and grace, to the point where, like, if it's on video, like you see them spraying people and people being peaceful walking down the street singing. It's very obvious, you know, who's in the right and then who's in the wrong.
Right.
But with this, what makes it so heart-wrenching for me is like, you have kind of just, you got a guy walking down the street. basically with the chick or whatever. It's all, he brought a gun to a protest. You can't do that. You can't do that. You're threatening us. It's like, I have seen people bring guns to protests for over 14 years.
Yeah.
I've been seeing this happen for a very long time. So it's incredibly hypocritical to me. People are like, he had a gun. He was there to do something wrong. He was there to protect himself and ultimately got killed.
Don't you think that guy was he conservative guy?
He was a registered nurse. He worked in the ICU. I think he's a left-wing guy, but whatever. It doesn't matter, you know? Like, he's American.
No, you're 100% right. And, you know, not to let these things blow out of proportion. I also see people taking positions where they're like, well, now the cops are out there just to kill American citizens. Like, again, I've talked about this before. There's a thing called availability bias, availability heuristic, right? And it says this: when you see a specific piece of information in front of you and you see it over and over again, you take that as fact that is the real thing that is happening around, right? So if I see a video of a plane falling out of the sky and I see a couple of those, then I think, well, flying isn't safe. I better not get on a plane. I better not get on a plane. Whereas statistically, you're less likely to die on a plane crash than to die in a car accident. Right. But then we go and we take these things and now we say, well, cops are killers and we have to be careful about cops. I'm going to be honest. I'm not afraid to walk outside because I know the police are actually there to protect me. You know, these things suck, but it doesn't change the reality that the average cop actually cares about Americans. And I guarantee you there's a bunch of cops that don't agree with what just happened. Right. Here. But that's not
ICE is not police.
Yes, ICE is not police.
ICE is not police. And this is the interesting distinction, right? And that's what makes the whole thing so horrible and so complicated, right? Is they're not police. They're customs and immigration enforcement. That's what ICE means. Right. Immigration and customs enforcement.
But the problem is when he set the quota, and I'll say this again, you had
3,000 heads.
3,000 bodies a day. Guys, by the way, to do that, ICE didn't have enough manpower to do that. So they had to start pulling from other agencies in order to actually meet that quota. And then they lowered the bar of entry in order to actually become an ICE agent. How?
Right.
Why? And so now they're also giving like sign-on bonuses. You want a
Hellcat? You want a Hellcat? I want a Hellcat.
Yeah, send Pablo back home and you get a Hellcat.
It's true.
You know, and like at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that you've gone through the years of training. I guarantee you, and I haven't fact-checked this, I guarantee you they're doing like basic training and then just, hey, you got it, man. Send them out there and help because we need all the help we can get right now.
It's so horrible for the country. It really is. And we're going to have Alex Stein join us. And I've seen him commentate on this and give his opinion. I want to hear what he has to say. He's not here in the waiting room yet. He should be soon, like 10 minutes or whatever. Ultimately, like a lot of people, like you were saying, that are like traditionally called like right wing or whatever, like recognize this is horrible. Right. And I think it's just being ideologically consistent. That's the same reason why I say I'm pro-life. I'm pro-free childcare. I'm pro-feeding kids. I'm pro-housing. Right. So you have to be logically congruent. And if you say like you're a pro-2A guy, full auto, no limits, repeal the NFA, all of that stuff, you can't support this. You really can't. And I understand the perspective of people that are like hopeful in the administration, but ultimately like that's pretty dead now. And like, if you don't recognize it as dead, like you got to wake up.
Is that, Andrew, is that clip of Trump? Who is that? Let's see what Trump. I don't know what this clip is. Waltz. Yeah, go ahead and play Tim Waltz here. This is a good segue.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now. We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside.
Is that replayed?
Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now. We have got...
Yeah, it's just a replay. Is he saying Trump can end this?
Yeah, I've seen the full clip, and he's like, Trump can end this now by getting them out, like getting them all out. Like he's asking for ICE to be gone, basically. Now, here's my nuanced perspective on this. Going back to the Trump tweet, we don't have to go back to it, but I can just quote it from what I've seen. He says, or maybe I can't now, I'm having a brain fart. Excuse me 1 second here. He says, like, where are the police that are supposed to be protecting the ICE officers, blah, blah, blah. They're not there. So I don't know about protecting the ICE officers, maybe protecting the citizens, maybe being out there on the street to make sure that things like this don't happen. But at the end of the day, they're not there for a reason.
Now,
like,
wait.
both sides want to collapse here.
Why would ICE need protection? That's very confusing to me. Like they're actual cops who have guns on them.
Well, protection from breaking the law.
Okay.
We've
got Alex on the line here.
We've got Alex Stein joining us.
We'll give him a second. Andrew needs to go ahead and set up the screen here. But
very cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting to have him on. I'm sure that's why a lot of you guys tuned in tonight. We're just going to be having a loose conversation, talk about current events, everything. But very honored to have him on here.
Yes, we're going to talk about future projects, maybe future collaborations, what he's got going on with his new show, what he's got going on with future projects. It's going to be very exciting. I think he's getting plugged in right now to the Matrix, getting ready to talk to us.
All right, Andrew, we got the video set up. He's going to set it up in a second.
Nice.
Okay. And like I said, guys, if you guys did not know, we're trying something new. It's called Super Chats. If you go to streamlabs.com/gray area talks, I will put this up for you guys. You can have your message read on air. It'll read out loud. We won't even be able to stop it. You might be able to ask Alex some questions. He'll be able to hear it. We'll all hear it.
Hold a gun to our head for free.
Yeah, for free.
Money.
There it goes.
Honey Badger.
Oh, it switched.
It switched. Do we have it? Is he back? What's up, Alex?
Hey, we can't hear you, Alex. You're muted.
You're muted.
Give him a second. Oh, that's
He's got a
cute
cat on him.
Well, we can't hear you.
It's the audio.
Your microphone.
Well, yo.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, guys. The Pimp on a Blimp is here. Thank you guys for having me. Great Talks, my freaking debut. The Pimp on a Blimp is finally here.
Yes, you are.
We love it.
Pleasure to have you here, man. What's going on?
Well, you know, we're here with Rex Jones, but I call him Jose because he always listens to what the hoes say. That's Rex's big problem, is that he loves the ladies. I think that's his Achilles heel. You know what I mean? But Tim, I love having you on here. You're kind of the voice of reason. You're not as insane as Rex, so I really appreciate you having me on.
Ace.
Nice. How dare you?
What are you talking about, Rex? You know you love the ladies. You're just like, you're a little poon hound, and I think that's actually a good problem to have, because at least you're not one of these closeted homosexuals like most of the Republican Party. But at the end of the day, Rex, you're a man's man. I don't think that's really a negative connotation. I think that's just a true statement.
Well, we're maxing. It's big 2026. We got to max. We got to act.
Do not say that. And listen, my age. If anybody looks up my age, I want them to know I'm 29 years old. That the Wikipedia has it all wrong. I'm young like you guys. I'm sick and tired of all this.
I'll give you that.
He's like one of those cops they send into a vape shop to try to bust him.
It's funny. Okay, so my uncle, he ran a restaurant for a long time, and he started off as a waiter, then became like a co-owner of it. And he didn't card a guy. And the guy that came in, he swears that the guy looked like he was 40 years old. Served him a beer, and as soon as he served him a beer, the TABC came in and gave him a ticket for like $3,500. Wow. So my point is, you're exactly right. There's a lot of guys that look young that are, look old that are actually young that go and do that gimmick. And that's why I do not like the government, and that's why I'm conservative, because I want less motherfuckers doing that to us.
Right.
How are things with your solo gig now? What's going on with that?
New show.
Things are horrible. My life is actually horrible. I got a new show coming out. I got a lot of stress about that. I got the new Rav show, which is good. But on top of that, on Tuesday, I'm filling in on WBAP, which is one of the oldest radio stations in Dallas. And they're giving me a shot to potentially be their 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. host.
Nice.
And but this is the problem. This is the problem, guys, is in this conservative world, Tucker is going to call in. I don't know if that's going to hurt me or help me, because everybody's such a pussy in this day and age. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know who's good and who's bad, even if they agree with you 90% of your political ideology. So it's like I'm kind of feel like I'm in a minefield. Then I was thinking about having MTG call in. They might hate that if MTG calls in. So I'm kind of like in this moral conundrum. Who do I have call in? One of my best friends, George Santos, gay, that is what it is. Are they going to like it if I have George Santos call in? So I feel like I just don't know how to navigate in these current this current political party that we have, because everybody says they're conservative. But really and truly, conservatives go after conservatives more than leftists go after conservatives.
That's a good
point.
And we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of infighting, especially it's kind of a thing of as of where like you get what you want, but it's not what you want. It's kind of a monkey's paw, the 2024 election, where we're all like, hell yeah, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be great. And then we just see complete chaos for a year. And we kind of see the right eating itself. And, like there's these various figures, whether it's a Laura Loomer or, just any of these.
She yaps hard, man.
Yeah, I don't want any smoke.
I know, but she's
real quick, she is somebody you don't want to mess with. She blocked me because, I called her out for not calling out Tom Alexandrovich, the Israeli spy. I think they call him cybersecurity director that got caught in Las Vegas, trying to diddle a kid. And you know what I just did? I just paid $600 to the Henderson County Police Department for the body cam footage, and I'm about to get that. And I'm going to post that. I'm about to post that body cam footage, and I'm probably going to get hated on for doing that. They're going to, say that I'm a anti-Semite for posting a pedophile trying to pick up a kid, all because that pedophile happens to work for Benjamin Netanyahu. So, it's just like I said. These are rough waters that we're trying to navigate, and you cannot please everybody. So in my mind, I'm just like, maybe I should just try to please no one.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at too, kind of trying to be original and real and just kind of talk to each other and not follow kind of like a chud script, whether that's left or right. I mean, you're breaking news here right now, man. It's like, this is a big deal. This is a big case. This is a guy in Vegas who tried to, do the Chris Hansen thing and, fan of the playground, let's just call him that. And he gets busted. I guess he gets bailed out or whatever. The full story. And then he flies straight to Israel.
He gets, first class flight right back to Israel, and now he gets to do all of his court hearings over Zoom. Which, I guess technically he's probably being held to the same standard as these other people in Las Vegas. But I would think if he is a cybersecurity director, why are we not hearing this on every single media outlet? If it was the opposite, if he was the Sultan of Brunei, if he lived in Saudi Arabia or Qatar, imagine the guys from Qatar. How much Laura Loomer would be talking about it. Every fucking tweet would be about this guy and would be about how Tucker Carlson went to Qatar and they, harbor pedophiles. But when you look at Israel, which I love, God bless Israel, the greatest country on earth, our biggest ally. Let's not go against them. They're so good. But God forbid we call out a pedophile from their country and all of a sudden I'm anti-Semitic. It's like, what is going on? Why are we protecting pedophiles? It actually really frustrates me.
Right. And I think that's what everyone's mad about. I mean, we're Epstein files, right? Like that was supposed to be the big thing we were going to be happy about this year. But nope, we get someone getting shot instead of that.
Rex, I about threw my phone on the ground when Pam Bondi said that she wrote a strongly worded letter. I wanted to reach through the phone, and I'm against domestic violence. I no man should ever touch a woman. But if you do want to hit somebody, what kind of bullshit is that saying, I wrote a strongly...
Honey Badger donated $10.
Whoa.
The ATF is unconstitutional.
We're having a bit of an audio
issue.
issue.
To buy a 240B from Walmart.
Somebody tried to super chat
Suppressors
during
should
that.
be like buying a fucking
We're having a bit
bar.
of an audio issue.
Go ahead, Alex.
Stand by.
Yeah.
No, you're good, man.
I got my, sponsored Alp pouches in, but I just took them out. I'm just saying, I'm frustrated with where we're going because it's obvious that the midterms are not going to go in our direction. And you know what? I don't try to this left-right diatribe is all Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. It's all an illusion. It's all BS. Because really, at the end of the day, we have all these conservative politicians still voting to bring in illegal immigrants, still voting to cut off our cars with an automatic kill switch for the next pandemic. And then, this is what really frustrates me, is that the first shooting happens when it comes to the ICE shooting versus Renee Good. And I was saying, and it was a very unpopular opinion, the guy didn't even get knocked off his feet. He was recording on a cell phone and was still able to blow her brains out. So I didn't think the guy was really in danger just from watching him. But all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy for saying that. And now we look at this, we got 7 guys versus 1. And yes, he may have had a gun, but having a gun is not a death sentence. And yet, they blow his brains out, shoot him 10 times in the street. And this is the real, not the micro picture, but the big macro picture is they want this to happen because they want to cause us to fight. They want to, radicalize all the people to create the next new CHOP. They love this. It's the same playbook that happened when Barack Obama happened with Ferguson. So he liked it too. It's happening, in 2016 through 2020 when it came to the pandemic. And I can just see this. It doesn't take a smart person to see that this is what the people, the social engineers, they want this. And it makes me so sick that we're all falling for this just easy trap. They got us like this. And it really frustrates me.
Yeah, and I've said this earlier. Like, I think this is a midterm issue, right? Like, Trump's got to get a win. So he kind of like went on the map and he's like, all right, where's the first place for corruption?
There's Somalia.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. We're going to go after Minnesota. Like, he chooses Minnesota first, and then like that becomes the focal point, even though this is like a national issue where the fraud is happening on a macro level.
Yeah, and Floyd, Renee Good, and that guy died like blocks from each other. Like, it's all in like one street, basically.
What are the chances of that? And then, guys, I'm so radicalized now. I would argue this, and I would argue the greatest debater, I don't care. I believe the legal immigration is absolutely worse than the illegal immigration because if I always joke around, I want amnesty for big booty Latinas, but in a real scenario, if you're a Mexican that wants to come to Dallas, Texas and get on a roof in 200-degree sunlight and build a roof, that's not really a big deal. But when you're an Indian using these H-1B visas that these corporations are incentivized because they get tax breaks, they get to hire these cheap laborers to give them real jobs, you're taking jobs from kids that just got out of college and paid $100,000 for a computer science college degree that are getting taken by guys that lied on their resume. And if you look it up, Indians are most likely to lie on a job resume, most likely to lie on a school application, and even Mindy Kaling's brother from The Office wrote a book about how he put that he was black in order to get into medical school. So these Indians, and maybe I am a little anti-Indian. I don't know if anybody should be eating cow shit. But what I'm saying is these Indians through legal immigration are able to mess up the system more than these Mexicans that come over here with a coyote and a drug mule. So I'm just really frustrated with the whole idea that the illegal immigrants are the worst, while we have legal immigration that I think is actually causing more problems to legal Americans like us.
Yeah, my opinion is a little nuanced than that. I mean, it's never popular because like I still stand behind the fact that like we can't kick out every single person that's legal. What I don't like is when you have an organization that goes and games the system where you put the same guy in 10 times into the lottery in order to get him in, and somebody's like they're purposely taking, let's say, a guy who's going to make 80,000 and slotting him in there. I don't agree with those things, but there are legitimate, like I know a bunch of people who are legitimately like went to America to get a degree, learn, because we're taking the smartest people from these regions as well. Not the ones where they're coming directly from India and they're being like outsourced where they didn't come here to America to learn. The ones that are here to learn fill in a knowledge gap to a certain extent because we have some gaps in our education. People will not agree with me on that. People will fight me on that. But like, I always think it's like, you got to be careful what we ask for when it comes to like, people are shut it all down. And then we don't know what the implications of shutting it all down
I got a thought experiment for you, Alex. So are you real MAGA or do you not want 600,000 Chinese students?
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least the Chinese ones will work hard. But listen, Tim, and I'm not trying to call you naive because I know you're a young man, but in Texas, we're not a sanctuary city. So you know what ICE is doing in Texas? They go to the federal court building, they go to the state courts, they go to the city courts, and they arrest the illegal immigrants at the courthouse. But because these sanctuary cities want people to be fighting, they want this to happen in Minneapolis, that basically, it just totally screws up the whole idea that we could deport these people. But really and truly, if we wanted to deport these people, it would be so easy. I was in the car business for a long time. And if you're a Mexican and you have a passport, I can sell you a car. I can get it registered in your name, even if you're an illegal citizen with just the passport ID number. So my point is, Texas just passed a law where we're not going to register cars to illegal immigrants. It's that simple. They can't get a bank. They can't rent an apartment. We make it in this we live in a technocracy. Everybody has some sort of digital footprint. You can make it where these people can't operate here just through our technology, but instead they want to blow people's brains out. And if we talk about the people that are getting killed, they're American citizens, which I'm against. So there's better ways to do this. There's different ways to skin a cat, and they're choosing the most retarded way, in my opinion.
I agree. And like, that's my issue with it is like, I was talking about this before you came on air with Tim. I've been to these protests for like 15 years, like left, right, whatever. And, you know, lots of people bring guns to protest. I've been to dozens of pro 2A protests, and ultimately they took the guy's gun. So you got a guy that's pronated, like just on the ground in kind of like hog tie position. And then whatever happens, accidental discharge, whatever, they mag dump into his head. Seriously? And then we're like, okay with it.
And then he had that gimmick Sig Sauer gun that just goes off. You know, that could have happened. But to me, if I watch a video in slow motion, which I have, it looks like his gun was, you know, taken away from him. And then, you know, 10 shots are fired. So I'm not trying to defend that guy, but I'm just not going to be the one that goes online. It's like, oh, fuck around and find out. Another libtard is dead. Like, that's not me. I believe it or not, I want the libtards to live too. And I know that's not a popular opinion in the conservative side of Twitter.
Well, we care about Americans, right? At least I thought so. I mean, Tim cares about Americans. I care about Americans. You care about Americans. Ultimately, if the government has like a gazillion dollars and they can fund programs to do whatever they want and start all these wars, why can't they execute immigration enforcement properly instead of getting retards and training them for 40 days and then being like, go out there, you're on a crusade? Like that. Well, that's what I think comes from.
Well, Rex, a perfect example is, you know, I keep on talking about my business experience, but, you know, my dad's a bail bondsman. I'm a licensed bail bondsman. That's our family business. And let me tell you something. If you and I went to jail for manslaughter or something and we tried to run, they will always catch us. But if you're an illegal immigrant, they can get away easier. So actually the system is skewed towards us being more persecuted than the illegal immigrants. So like everything is ass backwards, but it's not an accident. They purposely do that. And that's why I do not like ICE. I don't want ICE on my street. I don't want the FBI on my street. I don't want any federal authority on my streets, because just 13 months ago, the FBI was using a third of their resources to go after MAGA grannies that stormed the Capitol. So I just do not trust the federal government. I don't trust the state government either, but I definitely don't trust the federal government. And I just see all these people on the right side like, oh, we love it. ICE, like ICE, baby. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. ICE will fuck you over for not getting the vaccine during the next pandemic. Like, why can't people see this? I just do not understand, I guess, the density that some of these people have in their brain.
You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. People are saying it. Vanilla Ice, the greatest rapper who's ever lived. It's true. And I mean, I'm always listening to his music. That's why I'm a big fan of Ice. You know, I love it.
And this is what I think is really going on, if we want to say the 5D chess, because, you know, there was a time in QAnon, yeah, it's, you know, a little retarded, this and that. But when I say trust the plan, I think the plan is for Donald Trump to get impeached so that they can put in J.D. Vance and then they can run him as the incumbent, and then they can get 8 years with J.D. Vance. So I just really do not trust the people that are surrounding Trump. I think Trump actually is probably a pretty good guy, but he's hired these people like Pam Bondi, that is, you know, a blonde-headed, you know, bimbo that probably can't even count to 100 if you ask her, that's writing strongly worded letters with mean emojis. No. Like the people surrounding him are all retards. Maybe not all of them, but the majority.
I don't think he's just a little bit senile these days, where like he's been through so much hell and back from the Biden administration that he's just like, you know what, fuck it. Burn it all. I hate them all. I don't care. I'm not going to survive another 10 years, so I might as well just go out swinging.
I think that's a part of the deal too. Yeah.
Well, that is part of the deal, because definitely Trump is in the club, but I would argue that the club, you know, we talk about the deep state, there's different factions of the deep state that don't like each other, right? Like the George Bush deep state doesn't like the Hillary Clinton deep state, and the Hillary Clinton deep state doesn't like the Trump deep state. So I think there's different actors that actually don't like each other. But when it comes to Trump, the perfect example for me is, it's like, you know, the NFL, these guys, they finally get that contract after their rookie year, and then they just lay it down. They just suck. Donald Trump won his last election, so to him, you know, what does he really have to prove? He won the election. He's going to, you know, he won. So it doesn't really matter what happens while he is president. And I hate to say that. It's kind of like the guy that signs a big contract. It doesn't really matter your stats, because you have a $72 million contract for 5 years. It's guaranteed. And he's guaranteed for 4 years. But when you really look at it, I think there's a big possibility that after we get killed in these midterms, which is inevitable, they're going to try to take out Trump, and it's going to be the humiliation ritual that, you know, the auto-pin Biden president went through, you know, just a few months ago.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is, yes, he even said it. He's like, if we lose the midterm elections, they're going to try to impeach me. I don't think he's going to get actually impeached, because even when the Democrats had a majority and were trying that in the previous time that he was in the White House, they couldn't do it, right? Like there are several times at which they've tried this strategy. I think he just doesn't even want to deal with the bull crap of like actually going through all that again, to where you've got to go through like the legal proceedings and all of the voting and stuff like that. It just slows his mental down. And I think that's what they're going to do regardless. Like if you've got a bunch of Democrats, they're going to be like, look, we probably know he can't get impeached because most Republicans won't get fully behind this, but we can distract him enough to the point where we make him pay for everything that he's done to create this chaos.
Right.
Well,
right.
well, real quick, I want to say this, Tim. You're exactly right, because you and Rex are too young to remember this. But you know, and you might remember this part of it. But Bill Clinton was sticking cigars at Monica Lewinsky's pussy, and then after that, they had all this evidence to impeach President Clinton, and they still didn't do it. So, that's what's going to happen. It's more of a humiliation ritual. If anybody should have gotten impeached, I think it should have been the guy that was cheating on his wife with his intern, because, you know, this Me Too stuff, and I know that was before the Me Too era, but I think there was enough evidence to impeach Bill Clinton, and they still didn't do it. So the impeachment process is kind of just like, bread and circus. It's just meant to distract us from actually solving the problems. Like you said earlier, we have an affordability crisis. People can't even afford homes. People can't afford groceries. People can't afford to, support their kids. So that's why no white people are having kids. And then how do they solve that problem? They import 1,000 Indians or 600,000 Chinese people. So, it's just, we have a serious issue. And, Tucker Carlson, my biological stepfather, said the great replacement theory, that he gets crushed for that. But that's real. They are trying to replace us. I will go to my grave saying that, and I have all the evidence by just watching what has happened over the last 30 years of my life.
Now, I have a question for you that's kind of like a little bit different. You went on Tim Pool, right, with Suleiman and a couple of other people. I'm blanking out on their names.
Shabbos Kestenbaum, probably one of the top Israel First debaters. He was on there. And then my buddy Bo French, who's running for railroad commissioner here in Texas.
Yeah, so I was talking to Suleiman yesterday on a Spaces, and he said that Tim pulled off his the video, and it was.
I thought you were going to say the beanie.
No, that would have been wild. He pulled off the video of what Suleiman was saying on some specific issues. What's up with that? You know more than we do about that. What's going on?
Well, Tim is one of my good buddies, and I've said this to Tim. I know Rex teases Tim, which I still, I can laugh at that a little bit. I know Tim laughs when people tease me, but I'm really worried that Tim is trying to appease all these MAGA people. But when Tim was the most popular, when Tim was on top, he wasn't trying to do that. So that's my only advice to Tim, who is my good friend, is that now, I don't know. He says that they took that stream down. I haven't even checked if they did, but I'm just worried that Tim is trying to, I guess, double down and, please his new base, when in reality, Tim was much more popular when he was more moderate. So that's my only, criticism when it comes to Tim, is that there was a time where he wasn't this right-wing MAGA guy, and that's when he had the most viewers. So I would like it if Tim would actually kind of go, more towards that direction instead of just doubling down on this conservative administration. Because, guys, J.D. Vance wins or Gavin Newsom wins, it's all going to flip. It's all going to, it's all bullshit at the end of the day. Literally, it's a uniparty. These people go in Congress, they all vote together. So it's like, why are we going to say, it's like I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I love the Dallas Cowboys, but when they suck for the past 30 years, I call them out. That's the problem, is all these MAGA supporters, they're too pussy to actually, call out when Donald Trump makes a mistake. And he's not perfect. He makes mistakes all the time.
I got a question for you. All right, I don't know anything about football. I'm an MMA, UFC fan. Who is like the Dallas Cowboys' biggest rival team? Who do they have?
You serious? Oh, yeah. So, the Dallas Cowboys are one of the, most storied franchises in the NFL. So you would say the Washington Redskins, you would say the New York Giants, and the Philadelphia Eagles, because they're in our division. But then the Cowboys were in the late 90s. The San Francisco 49ers were our biggest rival. So it changes. And the Cowboys are still America's team, even though, the majority of our fans are Mexican. We're still America's team. So I guess in this instance, you'd say the Philadelphia Eagles, because they're the best team most recently that we beef with.
All right, well, let me give you an analogy. So it'd be a lot like if football was even more aggressive pregame. We're like, we're going to get you. We're going to F you up, blah, 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 like UFC press conference style. And then they're all like the Giants and the Cowboys, they're blowing each other in the bathroom. And then you as Like that,
but Rex, that's what's happening because all these guys, when they lose, they don't care. They all go to Cancun. It doesn't matter. And then on top of that, I keep on using these sports analogies. The NFL is rigged. Guys, look it up. They've caught college teams shaving points. The NFL, I think this guy made this great video. What he did was he went through controversial calls, and usually how that works is like it's a call that is made by the referee that's a judgment call. And before online sports betting 2017, in the last playoff games where it came to judgment calls that caused the winner and loser of the game, there was 10 of them, and 5 went to the underdog and 5 went to the favored team. Since 2017, since online gambling, because Vegas wins more money by the favorite team winning, now it's gone from 70% those judgment calls go to the favored team. So which just proves that these refs are rigging the game. They all have an earpiece that goes to New York where they can tell them, how to call it. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? So the NFL is rigged. But even though it's rigged, I know professional wrestling's fake, and I still loved watching Stone Cold Steve Austin smash beers, and I still like The Rock. So you can still enjoy it. But you have to realize that they're just trying to steal our positive vibrational energy. They're trying to keep us in this kind of like negative, low vibrational energy by cheering on our team, then watching them lose because there's 32 NFL teams and only one team wins the Super Bowl. So that means 99% of the fans are going to be sad at the end of every single football year, and they love that. And they get to repeat it every year. Bam, bam, bam. 99% of the fans are going to just eat shit, while very small percentage actually gets to be happy. And even the team that wins, even when your team wins a Super Bowl, the season starts in 4 months. So, you get to enjoy it for what, 3 or 4 months that you're the Super Bowl champions? It's all bullshit. But, I still watch it.
Well, I mean, it sounds a lot like American politics to me, and that's kind of the point that we were making. We're talking about Tim Pool. I might even talk about my dad. A lot of these people, it seems to be, at least to me, in my perception, I could be wrong subjectively, that it's a lot of boomer worship, man. It's a lot of getting the boomer engaged, getting the boomer excited, getting the boomer mad, whatever, because those people have money. Those people have time to watch things. They're retired. They're not doing anything. And that's our politic now. It's controlled by old people. And old people are in office. The old people are voting. The old people have all the money. Go ahead, Tim.
And one of the things of why we started this show is because Rex and I come from a completely different generation than most of the people who are at the spearhead of this. Besides, like, you've got Fuentes out there and a couple of young guys, but like for the most part, most of the people out there that have most of the megaphone voices are part of a different generation. And for us, we realized, you know what? Most people are like somewhere in the middle. Like, we've created all these buckets, and you're right. When Tim Pool was like more moderate and towards the center, that was when he had his platform.
He's reporting
bigger
the news
because of the fact that most people actually exist somewhere in the middle for nuance. And then when you go to an extreme, that is when you lose people, right? Because there's some things that, like, I get a laugh out of Fuentes sometimes, but there's like certain things I'm like, that's wild. I can't get behind that. Like I can't play HH in the club and get behind that type of stuff.
You don't want a monarchy, Tim? You're not a monarchist?
Well, I will say this though about Nick. Nick is incredibly funny, incredibly talented. But I think Nick knows that the more polarizing you are, the more that your fan base will like you, and the more that the left will hate you, or whatever you want to call the people that hate him, because there's a lot of people on the right that hate him. So I guess he's doubling down on the polarization of his personality. But like, you look at guys like, for example, we just talked about your dad. I love your dad because your dad was the guy that woke me up to 9/11. So this is where I get frustrated: is left versus right. Tower 7 is the only steel-structured building to ever collapse from office fires. Is Donald Trump ever going to investigate 9/11? No. Is anybody ever going to give us any answers on 9/11? Or, and I some people are going to disagree. Now they're sending the Artemis mission to the moon. I don't believe that we landed in the moon with 1969 technology. Is anybody ever going to hold NASA accountable for lying about that? No. So for me, I don't want to get blackpilled because Dan Bongino is going to block me on Twitter if that's the case. It's like, if we really actually wanted the truth, there's easy instances like the Oklahoma City bombing. We look at, Jeffrey Epstein. We look at 9/11. We could just easily expose our government, our Mossad, CIA, all of these, serious, even the FBI was involved in 9/11. They were able to find a couple passports, but they weren't able to find the black boxes. So it's like, We're worrying about ICE stuff when we know that the government lied about 9/11 and they went and killed 1 million Muslim people in 6 different countries that they destabilized. And guess what? The last country that they didn't destabilize from the Project for a New American Century, that's Iran. And guess what? Iran is coming up. So what I hope happens with Iran is I hope the Ayatollah just kind of surrenders himself and we don't have to go there and blow a bunch of people up, because it's looking like, you see Ben Shapiro, the guy's basically cranking it under his desk just to the thought of blowing up Iran. So, I'm not saying that I support Iran or I like Iran, but I'm anti-war, and I just don't like seeing bombs dropped on people and people getting killed indiscriminately, whether it's in Minneapolis or, Tehran, Iran.
Well, you raised the point of 9/11, and I totally agree with everything you said there. I mean, it's even worse than that. Colin Powell held up a vial of anthrax and said that they had it. And then they had a lady come in and say, they're taking the babies out of the incubators and they stomp on them. And then 1 million people died. And then tens of thousands of Americans die as well. And then
Rex, you're young enough to remember, but they told us, like, even Tucker, who I love, they have weapons of mass destruction. We have to go stop it or else they're going to bomb us. They have weapons of mass destruction. And even when Trump bombed Iran the first time, they have nuclear weapons. But now the narrative is that, we need to go stop Iran because they're genociding their own people. It's like, okay, how easy are we to just get bamboozled by the government? Is anybody ever going to just like ask a question, maybe hold our politicians accountable? But no, they're not. They're just going to go, I'm a conservative. I love when a liberal gets shot. I love when the left gets taken out. Like, everybody is so retarded. And I think the pandemic, now you just saw I think it was the World Health Organization said it was basically a test. I knew it was a test. And guess what the sad thing is? The next pandemic, the virus is going to kill people. And now people like me that are anti-government, anti-vax are going to be the ones that actually die from the virus because we don't trust the government. So it was all a test. We failed that test. We failed the COVID test. So I do not have any... I don't have any hope when it comes to trusting our side actually fighting back against, the persecution from our government.
I have a very interesting take on this. I think, at a certain point, I thought the left went kind of wild, and it's like the right became the new left in certain aspects to me, to where like on the left, I didn't subscribe to like, transgender stuff being taught in schools and people changing their genitals at the age of like 5, or like just wild, crazy stuff that happened during those 4 years, and just like letting people come in X, Y, and Z. But now I look at the right and everything that they're doing, and I'm like, damn, they just became like
around. He found out.
Like, yeah, because there were liberals, like you get the LA type person that's like, Biden could do no wrong, and they're like, back him to the hilt, and we should fight for these particular things, and there's no common sense with their objectives or what they're talking about. And now, as somebody who's sitting here watching, I'm like, dude, the right is just guilty of the same stuff.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
I mean, I want to piggyback on that. It's like, we have to protect everyone. 80 million federal employees must get the vaccination and the booster or you lose your job. We want to protect the children. We want to save the children. No Epstein file. Epstein never existed. Who is this guy? He would just, is a lone offender. It is what it is. It's the same exact thing. And that's why the show is called The Gray Area. That's why we talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Is we're recognizing it for what it is. It's uniparty. It's the old stoner saying it's two wings on the same bird, man. But that's true. It's true.
Well, let me tell you this, though, Rex. This is why I do have hope. And, I don't trust all these polls. But now they do these polls, and they say people under 30 do not ascribe to either political party.
I love it.
And you know what? I know I love that so much because both, you said all those cliches, the left wing and the right wing are on the same bird, which is true. And so neither one of these parties truly represents us. You got like Dan Crenshaw, who just wants to vote for more war and more destruction. Ted Cruz, who wants the same thing. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham belongs in jail. Lindsey Graham is a homosexual that wants to kill people indiscriminately for no reason, strangers that he doesn't know, all because he wants to suck on the dick of, call boys or whatever, male prostitutes in Washington, D.C. And that they have a dossier of Lindsey Graham sucking 10 guys' dicks, and they go, Lindsey, do you want us to release this dossier? All you have to do is say that you want to kill all these people with more bombs in Iran, and then we won't release the dossier. So what does Lindsey Graham do? He says, I want more war, not less. And guess what? The people of South Carolina somehow are so retarded enough, they keep voting his dumbass in. Yeah. So that's why I don't want to be blackpilled, because the people that are your age are starting to realize that, man, this is not a winning formula. I don't like either side.
Well, and I've gotten to the point, and Rex as well. We're like, okay, well, Democrats probably going to win the next election, but I don't think I'm going to be voting anytime soon.
I plan to get drunk.
That is
well, no, yeah, hey, but Tim, let me cut you off though, and I'm not saying this because I'm Ankh or whatever, but every election is fake, and I thought I now I'm starting to realize, even 2016 when Donald Trump had the underdog win against Hillary Clinton. That was the plan. They had to let Trump win. They probably rigged it for Trump so that they could put in the pandemic. Then they rigged it probably the other way for Biden. And then, believe it or not, they probably rigged it for Trump this way because they knew Trump was, more empathetic to some countries in the Middle East than maybe Kamala Harris and Joe Biden was. Because if you look at Josh Shapiro, was just on CBS. Did you guys see this where Josh Shapiro said they questioned him and they asked him if he was a Mossad agent or if he was a spy for Israel? And he said, of course not, but I do talk to spies. I'm the Attorney General. So it just kind of looks like one side is more empathetic to a country in the Middle East. And I think Donald Trump is. So I would say that every election from here on out, concerning even the past elections, are going to be fake. So I wouldn't be surprised if J.D. Vance wins, the Palantir president, and you're going to have all these MAGA people like, oh, I'm so happy we have a digital currency. I'm so happy we have a social credit score so we can kick them Mexicans out of here, even though they're going to be the ones that shut off your car for not getting the vaccine. So that's why it's like, wake up, brother. Wake up. The government sucks dick. They don't have our best interests. If they did, why aren't cancer treatments free? Why isn't, insulin free? If they give us a vaccine, oh, it's for your health. We want to make you healthy. Then why isn't chemotherapy free? Why isn't any medicine free? It's all bullshit. That's why.
Well, no. You see, we spend money overseas to pay the defense companies. So you don't actually get to have anything. The greatest country in the world just means the biggest threat to the world. In fact, just means that we're extended everywhere. It doesn't mean anything good for you necessarily. It's just, we have the biggest army. And that's what we've been trained to accept on the right as some sort of win or some sort of victory. It's like, he's bringing the military back. They're bringing the military back. Look, that's fine. I want defense. I want a strong country. Ultimately, we have nuclear weapons, right? Like we have nuclear bombs.
Whoa, Rorik. So let me tell you something. Now I'm really going to get you guys going. Everybody on this chat, if you guys are really awake, there's a bunch of great documentaries that look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you can kind of look at the other places that were bombing during World War II, especially in Japan, especially. We didn't send a nuclear weapon. Nukes to me are fake. Even Trump dropped the Moab, mother of all bombs. It's called like the MOAB, or it has some technical term, but that's kind of the slang for it. I believe nuclear weapons are fake. Why do you say that, Alex? Of course we have big bombs. This is why. Because they can use a nuclear weapon to start a war with Iran. They can use a nuclear weapon to start a war with Libya. They can say, oh, they have nuclear weapons. Yet, if Israel really had a nuclear weapon, wouldn't they have dropped it by now? I mean, am I that crazy to think? Well, why wouldn't they have dropped it by now?
Just a little bit, Alex. I love you, but I got to push back just a little. One of the reasons why nuclear weapons have not been used, right, even by somebody like Israel, is because there is an understanding of the implications that happen afterwards.
No. Let me tell you this, Tim. Let me tell you something. Have you ever heard of nuclear energy? You've heard of nuclear energy. You see them shutting down all these nuclear power plants. I want you to look into it. Nuclear energy is one of the cleanest energy sources that we have. Look into that. But they shut that down because that's more fear mongering. Oh, it's nuclear. It's bad. I'm just telling you, what they tell us about nuclear shit is fake. It's false. I don't give a damn. I'm not a scientist. I'm just telling you, you do not need to live in fear of a nuclear bomb. You guys are a lot younger, but when I went to school, in my history class, they said, Alex, we got enough nuclear bombs to blow up the earth 10 times over. I don't give a damn if we blew up every nuclear bomb that exists, every nuclear bomb. The earth is going to survive. That's all bullshit. And they tell it to us like it's a fact when it's just not true. Do you think that they could blow up the earth? Do you think that they could actually blow up the earth, Tim?
With enough nukes, with enough energy, yes, it could happen.
Okay, well, you're smoking crack. The Earth is a living organism. The Earth is a living organism that's going to live longer than all of us. I'm just telling you, that's a fact.
Human life.
No, I think the Earth will survive. I'm not talking about that. The human life part, that's a different story. Like,
have you? But maybe. But even then, I would say that the flood during Noah, and they say Noah's family is the only one that survived. I think that there was probably other like Nephilim type, demonics, angelic beings that actually survived the flood, and that's probably who's actually running the world. Is probably,
This is Dallas radio needs.
So
It needs it.
let me clarify like why I have these positions. I'm an engineer, so I live in the science and math.
Oh, exactly. Oh, an engineer. Oh, did you learn that in engineering school? Did they teach you that in engineering school? Did they teach you how to do a math formula? Oh, I did some math, so I know it's real. Oh, I love this shit. Come on, Mr. Engineer. Tell me the nuclear bombs are fake. Mr. Engineer, go ahead.
Alex, you're a savage. You're a savage. We're very
Wait, so
grateful
then
to
what
have you.
about what do you think the footage from Hiroshima was fabricated? Like what?
Have you ever seen the footage? How the hell did the camera not get blown up, Tim? How the hell is there footage where there's a car missing and then the car is gone? Go to pull it up. Tell your producer right now. Just type in fake nuclear footage. You can find it right now. And then on top of that, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, Nevada, which I go all the time because I'm a pimp on a blimp. I'm in the club. I'm not playing Hal Hitler, but I'm in VIP at Club Drace or whatever the popular clubs are. They did nuclear testing all over Nevada. If it was so bad, why would they blow up bombs less than 50 miles from Las Vegas and everything's fine? Have you ever seen that footage?
No.
Have you seen that footage, Mr. Engineer, of them blowing up nuclear bombs next to Las Vegas?
Even when they tested the first bomb, they killed a lot of people when they thought in that area they thought it was evacuated. They didn't think people, and a lot of the girls that were in that area that were at camp, they died. Like
yeah, that's what they do. They kill people, so people like you can be like, "Oh my God, some people died from the bomb test." These people mess up all the time. They're too retarded to blow a bomb off.
All right. I'm
New
gonna
Viper
No, real
donated
quick, Tim.
$5.
Let me finish this point.
Tim is
They
with the
got-
big engineer lobby. We will not fall
Are
for
we
your
watching a video?
propaganda.
No,
Oh, that's it. That's what I'm saying is they got more desert to blow up all these bombs, but they're still so retarded they're going to blow the bomb up next to somebody. It's like this. This is what the government did. A person donated their mom to science, and what did the military do? Did you see this? Where a person, their mom, they donated their body. They thought they were donating their organs, and the military bought the body and blew up the body. They don't give a shit. They'll blow up people all the time. They'll kill their own people. Let me just my favorite person, and this is you guys are too young. I keep on acting like an ageist, and I apologize because I'm gonna die before you, which is very sad. But there's a guy by the name of Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman, white, free safety, one of the greatest football players at Arizona State University, got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, just signed a $42 million contract. And this was in 2001 when that was a huge contract. He said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go after 9/11. I'm going to go serve for my country. Became an Army Ranger. And guess how he died? He died friendly fire. But you know what's funny? When you ask his wife about it, they say that's pretty peculiar because the letters that he was writing his wife is that there's no clear objective in the war on terror and that he was starting to kind of, feel like this was a waste. So you know what they do is they kill Pat Tillman, an all-star football player, Pro Bowl football player that dedicated his life to our country just to stop him from going and doing a media tour when he stopped serving our country and basically exposing the whole racket. So just trust me, Tim, when I tell you that you're being lied to about everything.
I got to come in here. It's a spirited debate. I want you guys to continue having it. It's awesome. Here's the thing. I think we do a pretty good show here on the gray area. I think we have a great community that's growing, deserves to grow. You need like 1 billion subs. You need like 1 billion subs.
No, I don't need it. No, I'm going to get my subs. I'm not too worried about that. Honestly, some of my viewpoints, I'm not right about everything. And Tim, I would probably argue you're probably smarter than me when it comes to engineering and all this stuff. But when they tell you this stuff in school, there's a reason why they give you all this math formula, this and that. Just go look up. There's a documentary, and they basically explain Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The fish, if they dropped all these nuclear weapons, why isn't there an uptick in cancer? I mean, it's just there's a lot of stuff that they tell us that is not true. And I think nuclear weapons is a way to manipulate us and to scare us into thinking that, oh, man, we need to go kill 1 million Muslims in the Middle East because one of them might get a nuclear weapon and blow up New York City, which will never happen. Iran will never send a nuclear weapon in our lifetime to New York City. They'll never send a nuclear weapon to West Palm Beach. They'll never send a nuclear weapon to Dallas, Texas. But you'll have people like Lindsey Graham that says, well, they got weapons of mass destruction. We better go in there. Yeah, bullshit, dude. Bullshit. And then we go back to 9/11. This is why I'm so radicalized. When you look at 9/11, it was 19 hijackers from Saudi Arabia. But then we went and destabilized Afghanistan. We went and destabilized all these other countries, but we're the biggest allies with Saudi Arabia. So it doesn't make any sense. If you want to actually get the guys that actually blew up the Twin Towers, why didn't we start a war with Saudi Arabia? Does anybody have an answer to that question?
That's a good question to ask. I mean, I agree with you on that, and I keep an open mind. Hey, maybe nukes are all fake and we're all propaganda.
Yeah, so let me just clarify. Radiation, like, it doesn't matter what anybody says. It's a proven real thing. You can just go look at Chernobyl.
Radiation's real. I'm not saying radiation's not real. You know, you take film through, metal detector. I'm not saying radiation's a fake thing, but there's not a bunch of people in Japan that have an uptick in cancer from radiation poisoning. You just look at the stats.
They have an entire village
when they died. There's plenty of people that were eyewitnesses that it went through the experience. Japanese people specifically that talked about everything that were there on the ground. It would be different like the moon where you have some plausible deniability because
bullshit.
You couldn't see it.
The moon is bullshit.
No, hold on, guys. I'm not done. I'm saying there's plausible deniability. People can strawman that, whatever, fine.
Tim, real quick, let me cut you off. You know that the flowers and the trains were running the next day in both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it was so bad. And go look it up. Right now, type in your producer, type in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There was multiple buildings. There was a couple churches that didn't get messed up at all. So type in right now, church in Hiroshima, not damaged. I want somebody pull it up. And no, I want anybody that's watching this that doesn't believe me, type in Hiroshima footage and type in church, because that's the one that goes viral and everybody's like, that's the passion of Christ protecting that church. Or maybe they lied about the nuclear weapon that they dropped and it was all just firebombs, and they just dropped a bunch of firebombs and blew up a city that is all made of wood, that a bunch of it caught on fire. And
oh God. There were thousands of people who were Japanese that were there, reported on it afterwards, and actually went through the experience itself. The fact
I'm not saying bombs. I'm not saying they didn't bomb them. I mean, okay, so you're so smart, Tim. If they dropped a bomb, you would know the difference between a regular bomb and a nuclear bomb. How would you know?
The difference was right after that circumstance, and for a while after that, the radiation has a certain lifespan. It drops drastically over a certain amount of time in which the area becomes no longer radioactive after some months to a certain extent, except for the ground zero site. That's like the high level I can give to you. When it comes to the radiation part, it's real because you had all of the people that were in the surrounding areas dying of cancer. Those things are reported, very well documented.
I don't know if that's true. I've been very well documented. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm not trying to call you out, but let's pull some stats. I don't know. I mean, let me look on my phone. I just, honest to God, you can say the nuclear fallout. They were eating the fish the next day. They were eating all the food the next day.
Didn't mean that the fish was good. Like,
do we have a photo?
Last part I'll say on this. Look, with Hiroshima and with Nagasaki.
Show that. Look, Andrew, on the screen. Look at that. Look at that church right there, though. I'm just saying. You see that? Look at this. Pull that. How did that survive, Mr. Nuclear Weapon? How is that church perfectly fine? You know why it's perfectly fine? Because it's not made out of wood like all their shanty fucking houses. That's why, Tim. Why don't you use your fucking eyeballs and look at that fucking church? Why didn't the nuclear weapon blow up that, Mr. fucking engineer?
I love you. The reason why is because that's not a church that's near the blast site. You can be.
Oh, but all the other buildings, look at all the other buildings are blown up. I'm just saying, if you want to, listen, for every single thing, you're just like these people. Oh, well, I'm just trying to think logically. You're the one that's thinking illogically. You're the one that's coming up with these new theories. Oh, that wasn't close enough to the blast site. Yet everything around it, has caught fire. But that building's totally fine. But you don't even know. It's funny you say that, Tim. You don't even know how close that building was to the blast site. It could have been right.
Honey Badger donated $5.
Yeah, you're just speaking.
I agree with Stein on Tillman. He was a fucking hero.
Check
out the anti-hero.
Yeah, whenever we have an audio
episode,
issue, we're really sorry, guys. We'll read the super chats after we're done with the actual part of the interview. They keep on messing up the audio.
They keep on messing up the audio.
So
it doesn't like it.
But we thank you for the support.
All right, but regardless of like America propaganda and what we can do, like Japan is independent of all of that. They hated America. They actually created entire sites dedicated for these things, and they're independent of America when it comes to a lot of the stuff that they created.
Well, hey, Tim, let me cut you off. So real quick.
Yeah.
Well, you and I both agree that the Holocaust was very bad, right? We agree that. They had concentration camps during the Holocaust. We agree that that was real. That's not a Nick Fuentes lie, right? We agree that that happened, right? Did you know that we had American concentration camps with Japanese people in that in California? Are you familiar with that?
I'm very familiar with that. We
So
did.
if you're a Japanese person, and another country put your people in a concentration camp, would you like them? Would you like them? Would you like that country?
Wait, what? They're
I'm
Japanese.
saying, does Israel like Germany? No, because they put them in concentration camp. Well, why would Japanese people like Americans if we put Japanese people that had nothing to do with World War II in concentration camps? So aren't there other reasons that Japanese people could not like America, not just because of fake nuclear weapons, is my point?
I was saying they didn't like them because they were literally the enemy. Like, that's how the government in Japan actually said, we're going to war with America. We're doing all these things because they said, look, this.
Okay, now I have to cut in one more time. Did
Okay.
you know that if you look at Pearl Harbor, we knew that they were going to attack Pearl Harbor. We were able to intercept all of their messages. And that was, this Holocaust was so bad, yet we didn't start and get involved in it until Pearl Harbor. So it's just, in my mind, it's like, well, why didn't we stop Pearl Harbor? Why didn't we stop that? We basically let them do that so that we would go in there and get involved in this war. It's like there's different factions of people within our own government right now that disagree with other factions, right? So there was probably a faction of our government, the deep state back then, that wanted us to let Pearl Harbor get attacked so we would go start this war. There's probably a lot of people like you and me, the citizens, that didn't like that. And if you can't see that, it's like, it's all a lie. Everything is a lie.
Here's one nugget I will give you. I think that the bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was one of these like political issues in which they wanted to test the bomb itself and see the impact. There's enough evidence for that to say, like, they wanted to see the damage of it. And when Truman saw the damage of it, he's like, damn, I made a major mistake when doing that. And they have transcripts of him talking about it.
Hey, do they have Harry Truman saying that it was a mistake? I mean, I don't know. Do they have him saying that? I don't know if it was a mistake at all. Because I would say there's probably people in Israel that would say that it was the greatest thing ever. I think there's some people that would tell you that it wasn't a mistake, at all.
Well, I know what we're going to title this. Alex Stein goes nuclear on gray area.
And Tim, I like you. The only reason I'm just getting hot and heavy is because I just sit here. I like to debate, but I know, Mr. Engineer, I hate that. I hate when somebody's like, well, I studied that in college. Well, I got a college degree at LSU too, and I studied basically, vodka and cigarettes. My point is, these colleges are the biggest places where young people get indoctrinated to all this liberal bullshit. So just because you learn something in a college class from a gay transgender professor doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's right. That's why I get frustrated, because these people are like, well, I learned it in school. I learned it in school. So school can't tell me wrong. The school's not going to lie. My school knows everything. And guess who invented the school? The Rockefellers invented the school. The Rothschilds invented the school. And why did they invent the schools? So you would be basically a slave for your whole entire life, just a worker, and not to actually think. They don't want creative people. They want people that will just follow orders. And that's why the best students are the ones that just listen and follow orders. I'm not that type of student. I think outside the bun. I'm like Taco Bell. And that's just where it separates you and I. I get it. When your teacher told you to do homework, you would do it. Not me. I would smoke weed and cheat off my neighbor. And I'm not saying that's a better thing to do. I'm just saying that was my methodology. Your methodology was probably actually doing the homework.
I can strongly identify with that. I wasn't going to pass Algebra 2, so I paid to pass Algebra 2.
And my whole point of saying the engineering thing wasn't like to prove that Hiroshima happened in that aspect. I was talking
it was. That's the first thing you said. You go, well, I studied engineering.
Radiation. You're like, nuclear doesn't cause like radiation, and there's no after effect from it. Like that part, like you can physically.
Well, look up Chernobyl right now. Tell your producer, Andrew, type in Chernobyl and type in wildlife in Chernobyl. The wildlife in Chernobyl is absolutely crazy. They actually want to send hunters over there to go kill the animals.
Hold on. Alex, 1 second. Remember what I talked about? Shelf life of radiation. Its shelf life drops dramatically as you go day by day and as you go through months. That means eventually wildlife can actually grow at a certain point.
Well, of course, I understand shelf life, but I'm just saying that they say that this is deadly thing that's just going to end humanity. The world's going to get blown up by nuclear weapons and nothing's going to grow back. That's a lie.
I think they've been used once. I don't think anyone wants to use them again.
Technically twice, but yeah, go ahead.
And I don't think anybody wants to do that specifically for the fact that no one.
That's not what Lindsey Graham says. Lindsey Graham says they want to use them, that they're developing a nuclear weapon to blow us all up. So according to our, politicians.
Let's say Israel goes and bombs like Iran. They're so close that would actually hit them downstream with all the radiation. They would kill their own people. So it's not like
Oh, that's why they don't do it. Let me tell you something. Another one, and this is another conspiracy. Tim, look this up. The Golden Dome, or all bullshit too. Every time they throw up a thing, that's all fireworks. That's all bullshit. I know a lot of people are gonna get mad. What are you talking about? That's why they want more money from America. Like they got a Golden Dome, just gonna shoot bombs or just gonna blow up. That's all bullshit too. The majority of what the military tells us is bullshit. I know you and we can disagree to disagree, but trust me, they lie about so much shit. This is how you know that they lie. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet, the newest Boeing plane that is a commercial plane that, Southwest uses, a lot of these airlines uses. Guess what? They were falling out of the sky. As a matter of fact, the 737, the older ones, the 737-700, the 737-800 were better than the newer planes. So if we're just going to really, compare apples to apples, they give us the impression, and I know you're Mr. Engineer, so you probably think that humans have evolved and we're the smartest we've ever been. I would argue that we are more retarded in that the people that built the pyramids, the people before us, our ancestors were actually much smarter than we are today. And that's where I lose people. People are like, no way, we're so much smarter. Trust me, the people before us were geniuses. They were smarter than us.
So let me give you that. Like, I agree with you that I feel like society has gone downhill in terms of like actual cognitive ability. The brain itself has not developed significantly since the time that those pyramids were built, but the people themselves, the intelligence to do a pyramid is better than what we're building in certain aspects today. Yes, because of the technology
it creates
to use
retardation.
Right.
Technology makes
because when you use ChatGPT, you're not using your brain anymore. You're just using something to do your critical thinking for you. So therefore, you're not using it. You don't use it, you lose it. I think.
Well, this is where the conspiracy is. Is that it's not even that they're that much different than us. Is that they say, this is like modern science, that we can only tap into 10% of our brain's potential. I would argue that the people that, before us, they probably had the same brain. If you took out our brain and their brain, it'd probably weigh the same. But they were able to tap into more of their potential of their brain, and that's why they're able to solve these complex problems that we can't solve today.
I'll give you that too. I agree. I think there's knowledge that has been lost over generations in which humans had more capacity to do things, in which we stopped teaching those things and playing them out over time to where each generation knew how the previous generation actually operated. I'll give you that. Let
me tell you this. If you type in, I want Mr. Andrew, your producer, to type this in. I don't know if it's the third or second leading cause of death. I think heart attacks is one. And guess what the second or third one is? Medical errors, doctor errors. So we have the most advanced doctors in the world, the most advanced medical equipment. But the reason that the majority of people are dying is from doctors messing up. You can fact check me on that. Over 200,000 deaths this past year were because doctors messed up. So if these people are so smart, if we're so smart, we got all these good engineers, why are these doctors accidentally killing everybody? Yet, if you look at, and a long time ago, people were having homeopathic medicine. Before the Rothschilds and Rockefellers started using these petroleum-based medicines, we lived longer. We were more healthy. So it's like, I just see the future. There's going to be a time where everybody's going to be, if we lived long enough, everybody's going to be transgender, and we're going to be one race, and we're probably going to be living, intubated in some sort of metaverse. So I'm just like, I just get frustrated because everybody's like, we're so much smarter. We got all this science. It's all bullshit. We are dumber. We are more retarded today than we were 1,000 years ago, or maybe even 2,000 years ago.
We got someone in the chat saying my friend's mom just died this year from a routine checkup. We got someone saying that right now.
Wait, Andrew, did you pull it up? Type in leading cause of death. I want Andrew to show this. I like Andrew, the producer. He seems like a sharp guy. What is it? What's the second leading cause?
It's cancer.
Cancer second, accidents, unintentional injuries, 200.
Okay, third. That's what I said. Second or third, accidents, unintentional injuries.
Pretty good.
Is that not from doctors?
First two to the last one.
I can't read it. It's kind of blurry.
Unintentional injuries. That doesn't point to doctors.
Well, let me ask ChatGPT. Let's ask that. How many? Let's just see.
While you do that, Alex, I was trying to glaze you earlier by saying you deserve 1 billion subscribers. I think you're one of the most talented people in media, and like that's why I'm honestly honored to call you my friend, dude. Like I love seeing you perform.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. No, I know I wouldn't take it as an insult. I'm just saying I don't even think I'm talented. I really don't. I think that like when I go to these city council meetings or when I go and I call out a politician, actually I'm just doing like I'm not even. how do I explain it? I'm not even trying to be talented. I'm just trying to be myself. And that's the problem, is that we are not living unapologetically ourselves. We're trying to fit in too much. And if I can encourage anybody, especially the young people, we need to live unapologetically ourselves. And that's why your dad, if any complaint, not that I would ever complain about your dad, is like, now there was a time when your dad didn't care about the, perception of anybody. Your dad was the ultimate renegade. And if anything, I would say that your dad's trying to fit in a little more, because now he has more clout. Now he's a little more powerful, and he realized, and I have the same problem. I'm not calling your dad out where there's some things I don't speak out about, considering turning point or this and that, because it causes me problems. But the real smart guy, the real badass, is the guy that doesn't give a shit about anything. And that was probably me when I first started. That was your dad when you first started. But then you get some success, you get some following, and then all of a sudden there are some unwritten rules that you don't want to follow, but you kind of have to follow in order to kind of keep the success that you built earlier. So it's a vicious cycle. The more successful you get, I would argue, the more disingenuous you get. Not that I'm calling you or your dad, disingenuous, or myself disingenuous. There's just certain rules that you have to start following that I don't want to follow. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to say right now that I just can't, because I would get immediately canceled. And that sucks. But there was a time when I could say that because nothing mattered. So that's why it's like, it's a weird thing. The bigger you get, the more you basically have to follow the rules.
Yeah, and you talk about my dad there. We also talked about Tim Pool. I would come at it from this perspective, right? Like someone like Tim Pool, I think he's become more powerful. He's become more successful. He's become more connected. So therefore, he wants to keep that gravy train kind of going. That's how I view the situation. With my dad, I would say my dad is less powerful, less influential than he's ever been, because of the lawsuits, because of the deplatforming, because of everything that's been done to
us.
Your
dad was targeted, though. That is why I give your dad a lot of grace. Your dad had the most unfair targeting, probably of any media figure in history. I'm not just saying that. Like, they had to shut down your dad, because it wasn't even what he was saying. It was because your dad was so powerful, because his message was resonating with so many people. So it's like your dad was a victim of his success. And that's the problem, the more successful you get. But this stat on ChatGPT says 251,000 deaths per year because of doctor malpractice. I don't know. It's kind of blurry, but but then your stat didn't say that. So, Andrew, ask Rock how many deaths are because of doctor malpractice.
Yeah, so, very interesting conversation. And Alex, I still love you like that.
I love you, Tim. Are you kidding? I love you. I yell. Tim's one of my best friends, and me and Tim Pool yell at each other all day. This is just part of my shtick.
Yeah,
I get heated. I get emotional, because it's more fun that way. If I just sat here like a bump on a log and said, that's not entertaining. I like to come here. I got some flair. I got some pizzazz. And that's just kind of my personality. Don't take it offensively.
No. The whole point of the gray area is we just have conversations and discuss. Like we don't take a personal. Rex and I have some heated conversations.
We have vehement disagreements a lot of the time. We're able to come together on things, because ultimately it's like, hey, I don't hate you. I just hate this issue from this perspective.
Yeah, right? And the whole point of most people's arguments come from their own experiences. So you can't necessarily blame somebody for having a specific position if they were taught something or learned something in a particular way. Like, there's local truths. It's like for me to say that a Jewish person's God is better than a Christian's God. Like
it is. Trust me, the Jewish person's God is the best God, and we love the Jewish people, and they're the chosen people. They are the chosen, and you're a Jew too. You're black, so you're Jewish. So be very careful what you say. You're the original Jew.
Hebrew Israelites, Yakub. Do you know about Yakub, the creator of white people?
Son of Shem. You're a descendant of Shem. You are the real chosen people. So don't sell yourself short. Let's just wait. As soon as we blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque, then our the Messiah will come back. And
one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on Rabbi Shmuley's Twitter, one of the most bizarre things, is he's at this like airport, right? And like this like 6'5" Ethiopian guy comes over to him and knows who he is, and is like, "I'm the real Jew." And then Shmuley like kind of acquiesces to it. I'll try to find it. I'll try to repost it. It's really, really, really funny.
Well, Rabbi Shmuley is one of the sickest people on earth, and this is another thing that's really unpopular. I was just arguing with Michael Malice about this, and I was arguing with another friend of mine about this. I love conspiracies. I'm a tinfoil hat, proud tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. Michael Jackson never molested any kids. And I know that's some people are going to be like, oh, he definitely molested kids. I would argue that Michael Jackson helped more kids than he ever molested. And Rabbi Shmuley was his rabbi, which now that makes me think maybe he did molest him. But when it comes to Michael Jackson, He was investigated by the FBI for over 19 years. They were never able to convict him of, being a pedophile. You look at James Safechuck and Wade Robson, who were in the documentary Leaving Neverland. James Safechuck said that he was molested in like 1996 in the train house. Well, that's impossible because not only was the train house not built, but the architect had not even drawn up the architecture plans for it. And then you look at Wade Robson. Wade Robson said he was getting, anally molested, this and that. It's just none of that is real. They lied about Michael Jackson. And, I'm a big Michael Jackson truther. I don't think that he ever, molested a kid. And that's not a popular
The same
opinion.
people that made the Michael Jackson documentary made the documentary about us, the people versus Alex Jones.
That director is a scumbag. That director is the biggest scumbag. I don't know his name. I don't even want to say his name. He doesn't deserve the clout. If he did the same documentary, which I know what you're saying is true because I know that director, it was all bullshit. They all lied. Like Wade Robson was his best friend, was at his funeral, used to date his niece. So you're telling me he's dating his niece and then Michael Jackson's like bang him? And yes, was Michael Jackson weird? Did he have Arrested Development? Did he have to, carry his whole family from the age of 5? And did he probably long for a childhood that he never had? Sure. But the idea that he's like anally raping kids is just provably false. It's just not what it's the perfect example. Who was the first person to speak out against them? Who was the first person that said fake news? Michael Jackson. And then you look at some of his songs. Did you see how they had to censor some of his songs? Did you know why they had to censor some of his songs? What he said? What was the one thing he said? He wasn't talking about smoking blunts. He wasn't talking about doing cocaine. He wasn't talking about pimping hoes, because all of those three things are fine. But what did he say that he wasn't allowed to say? They don't care about us. What did he say? Do you know the lines that I'm referencing?
Dangerous territory. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jew me, screw me. I'm just saying, he started talking about Israel. And then as soon as he made that song, I Don't Care About Us, pull up the lyrics, Andrew, to They Don't Care About Us by Michael Jackson. And this is right after he got canceled. Isn't that convenient? Michael Jackson, all these artists, NWA can say, fuck the police. Every rapper can talk about, Eazy-E can talk about how he's date raping girls. But Andrew, pull up the lyrics to They Don't Care About Us by Michael Jackson. And then that kind of makes you think like, oh, that's weird. I wonder what he say. Let's see, put it on the screen.
I would
let's
also
see it.
say that if you were to say something about the Prophet Muhammad, you'd have like a bunch of people cancel you and a big conglomerate of people like try to do stuff.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Islamophobia is totally okay. Laura Loomer can go on Twitter and say the most disgusting things about Muhammad. She's never going to get censored.
You can say that.
You go on there.
In the Middle East, like she'll get her head cut off. That's why she can stay here.
She doesn't live in the Middle East. She doesn't live in them. If I went in the hood and started saying the N-word, I'd get shot. If I said the N-word in the country club, it'd be fine. So
I'll say it because all right, I'm an octoroon, but it's my mother, so it makes it real. So I'm a Christian, but I'm ethnically slightly, but technically Jewish. Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me. All right, I'm Jewish, so I can say it.
Oof.
Don't you black or white me. Wild.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
But all I'm saying is like power is power. Like these people, no matter where you're going to go, like if you say certain things about any particular group who is in some sort of position of power,
right,
they're going to check you, right? Like I can't do certain things when it comes to Christianity. Like there's a white Anglo-Saxon that controls like the United States for the most part, right? Like I can't just go around, say some wild outlandish stuff about Christians, even though they're a little bit more tolerant in certain aspects. But like Lil Nas X had this like blood shoes where he was putting blood inside of like the shoe.
The Nikes, yeah.
Off like in 2 seconds, right? And then he got checked for that. And then he pretty much, so it's like, I mean, you can single out the Jewish people, whatever, but like I'm saying on a macro level argument, no matter where you go, you're going to find the fuck around and find out depending on what you say, depending on where you're at. I'm
not even trying to talk about Israel, but I'm just talking about Michael Jackson. That's an isolated incident that he was attacked because, and the way he died, he was murdered by Conrad Murray. They were making him do a lot of stuff. It's just very peculiar in his instance. Yes, if I went after Muhammad, they could come and shoot me. There's a lot of people that you could go after that they would come after you. I'm not saying it's just one group, but I'm talking about in essence, or I guess my point is, it was just very It's just a weird coincidence that Michael Jackson talked about that.
Right.
And then he's best friends with Rabbi Shmuley, and then Rabbi Shmuley is not the best representation of Israel. He's not the best Jew to have on your side, I guess I would argue. So maybe they link him up with Rabbi Shmuley just to make him seem more anti-Semitic, just to make him, because Michael Jackson was the greatest pop star of all time. You guys are too young to remember him. Everybody loved Michael Jackson. It didn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, everybody loved him. And so when somebody has that much power, when somebody is that talented, when somebody is that good, perfect example, Alex Jones, when somebody is that good, he has that loyal of a diehard fan base, they have to pull up some fake bullshit to cancel you. So that's my point when it comes to Michael Jackson. And that's why they can't have any of us have power. Look at Nick Fuentes. I'm saying as soon as he gets power, they go after just anybody gets power. That's why when you said that, you should have a billion followers, Rex, I love that and I appreciate that, but I don't even want a billion followers because then they're going to come after me. They're going to, use my, hack into my webcam and then post my dick pics all over the internet or something. Or they get a honeypot to come in here. And, it's just, you don't want to be too big because if you get more power than the system, that is a death sentence.
Right. I think it's more nuanced than that. I don't think it's just like, having a big platform. It's also about like, what you say, right? And if you say things that are polarizing, people are going to come after you in certain aspects. Like Fuentes says stuff about black people. No one is like able to escape, Fuentes talk. Like it's fine. Like it's totally fine. Some of the things he says is hilarious. Some things I'm like, I can't subscribe to. But in general, you go on the edge and you say something on the fringe, you're going to make a lot of people mad, whether you're on the right or left. Doesn't matter. There are people on the left that make their brand of like, hey, these are the things that I'm going to say. And, the Trump administration will go after them, right? Like there's always nuance. But on a different note, we talk about Michael Jackson being a legend. Like after everything is said and done, and I'm curious from your standpoint, what do you want to be remembered for? What does your legend look like? Like what do you want the Alex Stein, like here he lied, this is what he was?
If just personally, selfishly, I would like to have a bunch of money and I would like to have an animal rescue center. And I would like it one day when I die, I'd like there to be the Alex Stein Animal Rescue, non-kill shelter. If I could just, have anything I wanted. So I guess I just want my legacy to be that I was anti-war, that I didn't want anybody to die, even if they're a libtard that voted for Joe Biden. I believe that they deserve to live just as much as a MAGA conservative. So I would just like, my legacy to be that I didn't want people to die. I want less violence. I want more people to laugh. I want more people to have fun. And that's kind of what I do. And that's like what I realized my formula is when I was starting my podcast. I worked for a reality show called Cheaters for a long time, and I was a producer on that show. And then the host died of a fentanyl overdose. His name was Clark Gable. He was a son of the actual Clark Gable from Gone with the Wind. His name was Andrew Gable, but they called him Clark because, the name recognition. And they said, Alex, you're going to be the next host after he died. And I was like in this really kind of this moral, like, it was a tough spot to be in because I just lost a guy that I really liked, who was one of my best friends, but I was so excited to start this show. And then right when they, decided to start filming again after a hiatus after the 17th season, they said, we're going to go with a black guy by the name of Peter Guns, who's a rapper. He had a couple one-hit wonders. He's an okay guy. And they said, Alex, you can keep your job as a producer. And I said, okay, all right, I'll keep my job as a producer. In our first meeting, this is with Viacom, which owns CMT, MTV, and VH1. And they said, guys, we want to change Peter's name to Peter Pankey from Peter Guns. And I'm in the meeting. I'm like, why do we want to change his name from Peter Guns? Like, he's not that recognizable. Why would we want to take away the little bit of recognizable, why would we want to take away the little bit that is recognizable about him? And they said, you know what? We don't want to glamorize gun violence. And so what did I do? I went and I quit the show and I started my own podcast. And that's when I started going and, to city council meetings. That's when I started my podcast. And that's when I kind of started astroturfing as a leftist. So I guess my point is, in order to be successful in this world, you almost have to be polarizing. You almost have to kind of push buttons. And it sucks that is the way it has to be. But that's why I encourage you guys, the gray zone. And Tim, I know you're trying. I can already tell from your personality, you're a very smart guy. You don't want to push buttons. But I think the only way to actually be successful or get attention in this world, because we have an attention economy, whether we like it or not, attention. Look at Clavicular, right? That guy is, whatever you want to say about him, the only reason people care about him is because he has attention. So we live in an attention economy. In order to get attention, you have to punch yourself in the face and do meth, or you have to go to a city council meeting in a pet-friendly bathing suit.
Where do you see the threshold? Because for me, even when starting the show at Rex, I said, I could say some pretty wild stuff. I could be, even worse than Fuentes. And as a black person, I could probably be like even more polarizing than a Candace Owens, and I could blow up really quickly. Right. But then I sell my soul. Right. And then there's a lot of things that come with it. And you end up.
Well, real quick, though, I would argue you sell your soul more when you get famous and you have to censor yourself. I feel like I've had to sell my soul more to censor myself than when you're totally out there and you're just unapologetically yourself.
I'm selling myself because I'm not censoring myself when it comes to just my ideology. I'm very like super logic based, right? Like I just look for, like, everyone has the ability to say something, but I'm very evidence based and driven that way. Like I really don't like speculation or conspiracies. That's like never been my brand since growing up. Like it's like, show me the evidence.
I'm going to come in
and then I'll be like, okay, cool. I can get behind that.
I'm going to come in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys have been going back and forth. It's phenomenal. It's great. I want to ask this. So you, Alex Stein, you have a bunch
quick, I have to cut you off. And Mr. Logic, I want you to look at this book. This is Bill Gates' favorite book, How to Lie with Statistics. And then you go, Rex. So I'm saying you like logic, you like all this stuff. This is Bill Gates' favorite book. So you can you read this book, Mr. Tim, so smart guy. You can read this book, How to Lie with Statistics. You can use all the factual evidence and paint any picture you want. Don't ever forget that.
People could do that. 100%.
I'm sorry, Rex. Go ahead. I just
no, it's fine. You two talk to each other more. I like it. I'll just listen to.
No. I'm just saying, like there are people that throw out big numbers and stuff in which it clouds the actual truth, and that's the whole point of the show. Is like there's a lot of slop out there in which like people just do facts and figures and things like that. And the whole point of the show is to bring less slop to the world, which is why like I spend the time doing the deep dives. Like after we're done here, I'm going to cover why housing in America is so expensive and go through the specifics on the real knowledge, spending hours and hours of deep.
Well, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that because we have a bunch of banks that own it that are artificially raising the price of these homes. If we didn't let corporations buy single-family homes, which Trump now is starting to outlaw, but that should have been from the start. That's why. It's because these banks are artificially inflating the price of homes. Why were our parents not that long ago able to buy a house for $100,000 that is now worth $1 million? That's because as soon as we got the corporations involved, and this is what I would argue that we actually live in some sort of technocracy fascist state now, because the definition of fascism is the merger of corporation and state. And you and I, if we went to DC and we tried to get some policy passed, we would have no chance to get it passed. But if you're the oil industry, if you're the milk industry, if you're the cow, whatever industry you're in, that's why they make it where you can't have raw milk. Think about that. You and I cannot take milk from a cow's udder and drink it. That is a crime. Why is that? Because the milk industry controls it. So that, to me, is fascism. The reason that we cannot drink raw milk is because we live in a fascist state where the milk company can work with the government and make it illegal to drink raw milk. So there's a million other examples, like we talk about the housing industry. The fact that we let corporations artificially inflate these home prices is why we have an affordability crisis. It's not because we don't have enough food. We have more than enough food. It's because corporations are greedy and only care about money instead of actually care about feeding people. So I think there's a lot of instances where we actually live in fascism currently with our model that we live in now.
And I also, that was my standpoint of thinking that. So that's why I had to spend some time digging into it. Part of it is accurate in terms of the corporations are involved, but there was always more to the story. And that's the whole point.
Why can't we drink raw milk? Why can I not drink raw milk, Tim?
I'm talking about housing. I know nothing about raw milk.
But did you know that raw milk's illegal?
What about the farmers drinking cow milk? I don't know. This is not.
Wait, time out, Tim. Time out. No, this is you need to learn this. Did you know that they go to farmers that use raw milk and they make them dump out all their milk because it's not pasteurized? You realize that? You need to listen. If you're going to do a deep dive into anything tonight, Tim, I want you to look into milk. And you're like, oh, milk's so stupid. But why can I not stick my mouth on the udder of a cow and drink that milk? Why is that potentially a crime? Why is that?
But I don't know.
That's what? That's what?
Unhealthy to just go.
That's not unhealthy. Raw milk has a lot more probiotics and prebiotics. See, that Mr. Engineer is so smart. Mr. Engineer is so smart. Do you even know about the pasteurization process, what that does to milk? Do you know anything about that? Do you, you don't know jack shit about that. Drinking milk from a cow's udder is better than a fucking pasteurized milk. The pasteurization, you got more blood from the cow's teat. There's more chemicals involved. Believe it or not, Mr. Engineer Man, it is healthier to drink raw milk than it is to drink milk that gets touched by a bunch of Indian workers on H-1B visas that are pissing and shitting in the sink where they're pasteurizing it. And look that up. That you have a homework assignment after this. That is your homework assignment, Tim, is look up why is raw milk illegal? Why is raw milk illegal in this country? And that's because we live in a fascist system where the milk lobbyists can control us and stop us from drinking something that is healthier than the shit that they give us. How about this, Tim? Do you think that the healthcare system wants to keep us healthy, or do you think they want to keep us perpetually sick?
No, I think there's a problem with the healthcare system.
But to answer my question, do you think that they benefit more from keeping us perpetually sick? Or do they want to solve all of our illnesses?
They do make more money when more people are sick. There is a business for that.
So we have a for-profit system that makes more money when people are sick. So why would they be incentivized to make us healthy?
Right.
You almost become Asiatic when you get excited. Your eyes.
Yeah, your eyes kind of,
Yeah, almost kind of.
But like
Asiatic.
all I'm saying is that, the deep dive is about housing, and ultimately all of these things are like more nuanced.
Well, unless you hit the lottery, you're never going to have a house. I just want you to know that unless you hit the lottery, or you marry a rich girl, you're probably never going to buy a house. You're not going to do it podcasting unless you become like Candace Owens and start saying Charlie Kirk's a time traveler. Unless you're going to do that, you're not going to probably buy a house. Do you own a house now, Tim?
Give him that. Yeah, I do. I'm the landlord. Yeah. Don't give him that nugget.
Okay, well, but my point is you probably got a big ass mortgage and you better start working your ass off to pay it off. I'm just saying the majority of people, maybe not you, Mr. Engineer, most people cannot afford a house, and that's the problem. Is that the everyday man can afford one.
100%, I agree. It's a problem. The whole point is like we go into the specifics on the gray area so that people are more knowledgeable than just saying, well, it's unaffordable. Because when you just say it's unaffordable, you get blackpilled. You just say, oh, there's nothing we could do. You got to actually go into the specifics so that way you can understand and be knowledgeable.
Time out. I want to cut something off, guys. Right now, I want you guys to realize this, and Dan Bongino is going to say we're blackpilled. We live in the most abundant universe possible. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough homes. We just have to get our vibrational frequency, and that might sound a little woo-woo. So that's the real key to all this, is that we have to, and I know people are not going to understand this, but I'd like people to look into this, is that we live in a very abundant universe, but what we do is we block our frequency with drugs, sex, whatever it is, pills, stress, anxiety, that actually if we can vibrate our frequency in cohesion with the universe, that will be more than abundant. And that's probably why you have a house, because you probably are high vibrational and you're probably able to, vibrate with the universe. But I just want people to know this, that we're not black-pilled. We're not... The world is there's more than enough. There's more abundance than you could ever imagine. And it's your job to go find that abundance. And as a matter of fact, we're all entitled to it. It's just, we just kind of keep ourselves in this low vibrational state, this negative vibrational state. And the black pilling, if we are black pilled, if you're constantly black pilled and you think that you have no hope, you're never going to be able to reach the abundance of the universe.
And that's the whole point of the show, is I'm not calling you black pilled. I said it's very easy to get black pilled with all of the media and content that's out there. And the whole point is in order to shine a light on the things so that way you are more knowledgeable and feel like there's something in your control. Because at the end of the day, they're going to vote in whoever they're going to vote in. There's going to be people in power that make certain decisions. But at the same time, you know what to look out for rather than it just being a headline of housing is unaffordable. These are the things, like, you got to understand, like, we talked about pricing on this show. Like, people don't know that there's dynamic pricing that comes in, and like the average consumer doesn't realize the algorithm is tracking how they're spending. So then some people get bunched in. And you know what happened? The Instacart had to take that off because enough people brought it to light to talk about it, including us, and shedding it to where they had to roll that back from a corporation perspective. So, I mean, that's what you kind of have to do. It's like we're all talking. Everybody's just in this talking space, but it's like, okay, what do you bring to the table besides just saying the headlines? And that's the whole point of the show.
Well, I'll tell you guys, all you have to do is just join DraftKings and just gamble, or if you're a woman, you have a vagina, just join OnlyFans. And that's what the world tells us, right? All you got to do is online gamble or do OnlyFans, and you'll be really successful. So, but you know, we make a joke, but young people basically, those are their only two options. That is literally what people think. There's people that work 9-to-5 jobs that are making 60 grand a year that think, well, you know what? If I go on DraftKings enough, maybe I'll be able to go on vacation twice a year. And if there's girls that come from, you know, a home where they might not have had a strong dad, they're like, well, I don't want to be a maid. I don't want to be a receptionist. I don't want to be, you know, working at a retail job. Let me show my vagina. So it's just like, we're very screwed because that is our system pushes people to do these things that are only going to make society worse. So I guess my point would be, I would try to encourage people to go against whatever they're trying to make you do the opposite. If the government tells you that, you know, it's raining, go outside and touch the rain. Believe the opposite of the official narrative always, like always.
Yeah. No, we appreciate that.
Well, you know, in an interview, it's a lot like a blunt, right? And you're supposed to pass it and talk to each other and smoke it all down.
Well, Rex, you and I are friends. We talk all the time. So, you know, it's different than I get to yell at Tim. And, you know, a little bit of me, I do, you know, my family, we did have the biggest plantation in southern Louisiana. So it feels good to kind of, you know, yell at a black man a little bit. And but I'm telling you, though, Tim, you would be one of the ones that live in the main house. Just so you know that. You'd be running the show. So.
Yeah, I definitely would say I'm a house guy. Y'all they taught me how to read and write, so you know that works out for me, right?
Y'all, Tim, you are very smart. I know I've been yelling at you this whole time, but I just want to say you're a very brilliant young man. I think that you have a very bright future. So anything I said, please take with a grain of salt. I'm more just kidding than to try to be rude.
Zero offense. I've watched your content enough to understand your personality to a certain extent, and Rex has let me know. And this is our first time interacting. Nothing you've said on this stream I've taken offense to. We just talking. We're just having fun. This has been enjoyable.
This has been great. I mean, the thing I was going to ask you, and the thing I guess we'll wrap with, this is what I was really excited about to have you on. I mean, you're a guy, you're working at the Blaze for like 3 years. You were there doing your grind, doing your thing. I thought it was a phenomenal show. I was honored to be on 2 episodes of it, and I go and rewatch those sometimes. I think it was really, really cool. It was very cool to go see the house that Glenn Beck built, as you put it. But now going forward as a true independent media, I guess, I hate the term, but content creator. I know I've talked to you in private about some of these things. I know you got some big plans for this year, both with your show and then other big shows you might be working on, maybe something with a tank and something with a fish, maybe. Any news about that?
Well, yeah, you know, Sam Hyde is a very good friend of mine. I'm just lucky to be friends with Sam. And yeah, you know, I'm working with Fish Tank, but you know, I got a show on Real America's Voice. You know, that's the same network that Charlie's show is still going on. You know, that's a topic I don't want to get into tonight, but you know, I talk about getting emotional. So I got the Rav show that's supposed to start February 2nd, and then I was telling you earlier, this week I'm filling in at WBAP. It's the second oldest radio station in all of Texas. It's been running for over 100 years, and it's a conservative station. And that's kind of what I started this interview with, is that I'm having Marjorie call in. I think I'm gonna have Tucker call in, and I'm actually worried. I'm like, you know, it's a conservative station, but are these people like not, you know, because Marjorie's, you know, controversial and Tucker's controversial, like, does that not fit into the mainstream conservatism that a radio network, you know, Cumulus Media, which is actually the biggest conglomerate of radio stations in the country. So it's like, that's where I'm kind of worried. So I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of options going on. You know, I'm excited for the future, but I'll tell you this much. There was no time actually of my life that I liked when I kind of missed the days when I was doing the Conspiracy Castle, when I could go yell at AOC and it didn't matter. Like, you guys have to realize, like, what is the saying? You don't realize you're in the good times, you know, when you're in them. You know, we don't have enough gratitude. And I'm not saying my life is bad, but I have all these opportunities, but they're kind of bringing more stress. I'm like, I'm about to go on this radio station. Am I gonna piss the wrong person off by not being conservative enough? So it's weird. It's like Puff Daddy said, mo money, mo problems. That's 100% real.
You are completely right about that. I will 100% get behind that.
Well, I think you're incredibly talented, Alex. I mean, I'm a big fan, and I'm honored to call you my friend. I'm very grateful that you would come on our show, man. And it really is incredible to have you here live. We hope to have you again soon, maybe.
Well, we got to go round two. Me and Tim, we got to go round two. I'm gonna send Tim a documentary about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And Rex, I'm not just saying this to kiss your butt. You are incredibly brilliant. You're on the air at a very young age. I think that was very cool that your dad did that to you. And, that's a lot of pressure. That's hard. I'm just saying, what? No, you're laughing at that. I'm saying that's a lot of pressure to be a young kid and getting on there with Alex Jones and talking about geopolitics and talking about 9/11. So
did that to you is accurate. Did that to you is very accurate. But go
yeah,
ahead.
he made you get on there because your dad wants you to be a baby Alex Jones, which my dad wants me to be a baby Alex Stein. I mean, that's what a dads do. When you have a kid, you're going to do the same thing. And that's what a dad does. And that shows that your dad truly loves you. So, Rex, you are an icon. You have a very bright future. Tim, you have a very bright future as well. And I'm honored to call both of you friends, even though Rex and I are, we're boys, and Tim, you and I just met. So
We just met.
I mean that. The feeling is mutual, Rex, and you and I are going to be friends for a long time. And I hope that we can continue to help each other. And I'll come on anytime. And like I said, I go 0 to 11. It's like the movie Spinal Tap. You guys need to go see that movie. There was a funny line of that. These go to 11. And they were just normal speakers. And my point is, I try to go to 11. And I would encourage other people to try to go to 11. You're going to get some haters, but sometimes the more haters you have, the more fans you have. It's kind of it's a vicious cycle, but that's life. Life is it's a weird puzzle. Sometimes it's hard to solve, but when you do solve it, good things happen. So I really am honored to even be on the show. I'm honored to call you a friend, Rex. I mean that.
I appreciate that. I really do. The one point I wanted to make when y'all were having a discussion about people being smarter, people being dumber throughout time, I would say life is skill acquisition. Of course, life is worshiping God before anything else, but life is skill acquisition. And the more distractions you have available just at your fingertips, whether it's the computer, the video game, the music, whatever, ultimately, I think that's led to a lot of the societal degradation that we see today. And what I like about media now is you have people doing a lot more work than they used to do. You have people going live for longer. You have people doing bigger shows, got people doing stuff in the streets. I love it. I love the man on the street stuff because it's real hard to fake that. It's real hard to fake that.
We're going to start doing that this year.
We are going to start do that. And that's where I wanted to go with this. You see people like Clavicular, you see people like Sneeko, whatever. You could say, oh, they're crashing out, they're being crazy. Ultimately, to put yourself out there like that, it is brave, and I do admire it. And there are a lot of events. There's one event I wanted to ask you about. Me and Tim are going to go to World War Debate. And I believe it's...
I'll be at the next one. Are they going to do it in New Jersey? We need to go to World War Debate. I'm good buddies with Sam Tripoli. We need to go.
Yes.
And the man on the street, you're right. That's the realest content there is. And, I love Nick Shirley, but, all he does is go hold the microphone to people. So, I'm saying he's not the star of the show. It's actually the people that he interviews is the star of the show. And that's why it shows you, that's why it's so important to actually go out there and be that man on the street. You're exactly right, Rex, when you talk about that.
100%. I mean, dude, that's what I see in you is that real raw talent and ability to actually go talk to people. And that's what people, empathize and really believe in now, because people just, when you're talking, when you're yapping, when you got, like a MAGA sponsorship or whatever, or a liberal sponsorship or whatever, ultimately people are sick of the party politic. They want to see real human interaction. I think that's what we brought here tonight. Thank you for coming on.
I think so too. And guys, last thing I'll say is that we live in a world where, and I'm not trying to keep bringing up your dad, but as soon as you become successful like your dad, that's when the deep state comes after you. Even like Donald Trump, you can say maybe he's part of the deep state, but the people come after him. So I guess we need to have gratitude, even when we're not on top, even when we're not the number one guy. We just need to have gratitude. And that's why I just want to say I'm thankful to even be friends with you. I'm thankful to say that I can't believe I'm best buds with Alex Jones' son. I can't believe that. I can't believe I get to say that. And I say that because I want to have gratitude for that instead of just thinking, well, I'm the pimp on a blimp. I'm friends with anybody's son, but that's not how it goes. I'm so thankful, Rex, to call you a friend. And I'm so thankful to anybody that watches my content and the kindness that you showed me. And Tim, you got a bright future. It looks like you're a landlord. You are really a Black Hebrew Israelite, obviously. You are Jewish, and God bless you. And you're welcome to come to Israel with me anytime you want. Me and Rabbi Shmuley, anytime.
Where can people find you? I know they all probably know, and they're coming from your fan base, but where can people find you?
Well, guys, like I said, I got this new Rav show February 2nd, and then hopefully this radio gig goes good. And, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. If you can't find me, you're not looking. So thank you, guys. I love you guys. And who won the game? I didn't even check who won, the Rams or Seahawks. Does anybody know? And football's all fake.
Let's look it up. Let's look it up real quick so that we know.
I'm just curious because I skipped the end of that game. Not that I even cared. I was like, I'd rather talk to my friends, but I'm just more curious of, I played high school football. Matt Stafford was my quarterback, the quarterback for the LA Rams. He's made over $420 million. And look at his contract. This year, he made $44 million in California and had to pay $26 million in taxes. Ooh, the Rams lost. Damn, Matt. That's not good for Matt. But look at Matt. Made $44 million and paid $26 million in federal and state taxes this year. It's a son of a bitch.
That's called grape. That's what they do to you. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
See you guys. Peace.
Peace. That's a real American right there. You can't fake that. Can't fake that energy.
Yeah, no, he's super exciting. And like, this is my first time interacting with him. No, nothing offensive. Like, I think this is part of like who he is as a character. He's very passionate about what he says. And that's why I like having conversations like this. You never know what conversation, how it goes. This one was just kind of just free flowing. We were just talking.
I love it.
I mean, there are things that you might not agree with me on. There's some things that you might not agree with Rex
I just
on,
wanted to yap a little bit more. I'll be honest. I wanted to yap a little bit more, but y'all had a great dialogue and I was happy to see it because really like that's getting to experience the show, right? Because on the show, really like we have debate, discussion. Sometimes you can even maybe call it an argument about things, but that is the nature of the show. The show is not just one narrative where it's like, oh, we agree to agree on everything. It's real people having real conversations.
And I'm going to highlight this. Kurt says solutions is greater than complaining.
Totally agree.
That's exactly what my argument was towards the end of that whole thing. The whole point of the show, why I do the deep dive, is it's very easy to say, hey, housing is just super unaffordable. There's nothing we can do about it. Well, the whole point of why I'm doing this deep dive, and I'm going to explain to you guys, I spent hours. When I say I spent hours, I spent like at least 10 hours worth of research to find out the specifics, fact checking, making sure that all my bases are covered when I give you guys this content. So we've been told this entire time that it's the BlackRock and the Vanguard and the corporations that are buying up all the housing. I also believe that at a certain point. But then sometimes that's just the headlines and we don't go into the specifics. The problem is a lot more nuanced and it comes down to supply and demand as well. So in a second here, we're going to do a little cut scene. We're going to go
deep dive time.
Deep dive time. You guys don't want to go anywhere. Every single Sunday, this is how it goes. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat watching, never seen this before. We try to have phenomenal guests on Sundays, and then afterwards, I give a deep dive on a specific topic to give you guys information on things that affect you as well as things that you need to know internationally to understand the reality of these situations.
And a lot of the time when we do the deep dive, these comments will come in and it's like, well, I know this is basic information. It's like, yeah, that's why we're going through this. It's basic and everyone should know it. But ultimately, the real genius in things is not found in like complication, crazy, messed up system. It's in the simplicity. The real genius is in the simplicity.
Right. And I'm pretty sick of when I go on social media and I scroll on X and all I just see is headline after headline and just slop. And it's like, breaking news. The American is dealing with this today.
America's getting worse.
Yeah, America's getting worse. And we don't know the real reason of why these things. And we're just going to read a news article. And everybody's just cycling that stuff.
Right.
Cycling it. So I'm sick of that. That's the reason why I started the show at Rex. We wanted to go a layer beyond that and deeper to give you guys real value at the end of the day. This is not a slop, just let's black pill everything and everything is doom and gloom. You're just going to have to decide for yourself after you hear the information. You can choose to believe it, or you could choose not to believe it.
Or you could choose to research it, which is what we hope you all do. And that's really the point of the show.
It is
to encourage people to do more research about what they believe. And I was trying to say this. Y'all were having an exchange. So I wasn't able to. I wanted to make the point of, hey, we've been doing this show for a while and we disagree on stuff. We have debates on stuff. Ultimately, you're someone that's really like, you're looking for the truth in whatever you go to, right? So with the Ukraine war, I mean, we just talked about that. And that was something we had plenty of arguments and discussions about. Ultimately, you looked at the data and you're like, you know what? This is a little funky. You know,
Yeah.
and ultimately he said things too, and I've been like, maybe I need to look into this more and kind of change my opinion,
Right.
because I'm trying to argue with emotion. He's using logic, and whenever that happens, you examine what you're doing, you get better. It's iron sharpening iron. That's what the show is.
Yeah, and like you'll notice, like, I know Alex has the position of like, you should probably be sometimes a little bit more polarizing, which is fine. That's other people's brands. That's how they want it. But like for me personally, in my soul, I'm like, I'm going to even challenge my own beliefs, because that is the whole reason why society is able to move forward, is because of the fact that we're able to bring different ideas across the table, and that not one side just controls the narrative.
I have issues with some of your positions, but I got to say this. You are a true moderate. You are a true moderate. You are true in the middle, just trying to find common ground to make things better. And we may disagree on how to make things better or whatever, but I like this. He's a real solutions-based guy.
Yeah.
And like this is my experience knowing Tim, working with Tim, being friends with Tim. Tim is a very solutions-oriented person. If he sees a problem, he wants to figure out the best way to solve it.
Right.
And that involves a lot of research.
And you know what? At the end of the day, I think it came down to one thing, Rex. I realized one day I used to complain a lot. I was super guilty of it. My entire life, I used to complain a lot. And then I realized one day that no one's coming to save me.
Right.
That is the worst part. Like, I could sit there, scream off the top of my lungs, and I don't even have a big enough platform to talk about things in general, that I could just be like, oh, well, the sky is just dark today. I don't care.
Then you write it off.
And then you just write it off. And then nothing changed in my life, and I was still upset. I was still sad about things. But then I realized, you know what? I got to take some accountability. I got to take some agency. I got to learn about the things that I can't do or achieve. Often, this is the key. Often the reason why somebody is doing better than you is because there is a knowledge gap. They know something that you don't know. That is plain and simple. Everything comes down to information. And if there's anything that you can gain from this show is information, that way you can arm yourself to be better and know what to do and how to protect yourself in certain things.
And that's such a key point, because you look at the people in Congress that are worth $1 gazillion now for no reason. You go, are those people any smarter or brighter or better than you?
Not
No,
at all.
Absolutely not. They're tapped into something that you're not tapped into. So our goal is to replicate a little bit of that by finding the insider information that's really available. You just got to look for it.
100%.
You ready for deep dive?
I'm ready for deep dive. Andrew, take us to the cutscene. We'll be right back, okay?
About romance a lot, men like Galahad and Sir Lancelot always did the things I like to do. Physically I'm not as durable, but romantically I'm incurable, and I'd like to do the same for you.
Well, I've got some castles I want to have built, baby, and I've got some dragons I want to have killed, baby.
I'll get into my 7-league boots, I'll get into my bulletproof suit, I'll get out my revolver that shoots, and rat-a-tat-tat, down they'll go.
Oh, I've got some mortgages I want to have paid, baby, and I've got some villains I want to have laid to rest.
After all my adventures are through, and I bring home the bacon to you,
I can tell all the papers you did it because
I love you. About romance a lot, men like Galahad and Sir Lancelot always did the things I like to do. Physically I'm not as durable, but romantically I'm incurable, and I'd like to do the same for you.
Well, I've got some castles I want to have built, baby, and I've got some dragons I want to have killed, baby.
I'll get into my 7-league boots, I'll get into my bulletproof suit, I'll get out my revolver that shoots, and rat-a-tat-tat, down they'll go.
Oh, I've got some...
Yeah. What's going on here, guys?
We're back.
We are back. How we doing? If people are asking what I'm going to wear tonight, you guys, look. I'm out here. I work for Meta. I'm a builder. I'm here to build your house that you can't afford, okay? You can't afford this house that I'm going to build. House. Yeah, so anybody who's new, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are new. When we do these deep dives, I love to wear a costume. I've got like an entire bucket full of stuff.
I just got cold, so I put on a jacket.
It is pretty cold.
It is
cold.
Oh,
damn. If you go sit down, we can get the dog cam going, but you guys won't be able to see Rupert. We got a doggy in here. But tonight's special episode is about housing affordability. Why you can't afford a house, but your grandma can. Isn't it sad, Rex? Isn't it sad?
It's horrifying. It's really the death of the American dream.
And by the way, you know, I've said I'm a landlord and all those things. I didn't get that easily. I sacrificed a lot just to even get the first property. I was working 2 jobs as an engineer, server on the weekends, 80 hours a week, guys. 80 hours a week. No joke. That's not even an exaggeration. Fridays would be 18-hour days, and I just stacked as much as I could in order to afford my first property, but it shouldn't have to be that way. It really shouldn't. I should be able to just build that on one income, but that's not the reality that we have today. So, you know, before we talk about why the housing is broken, you need to see what normal used to look like. And, you know, for most of American history, buying a home wasn't easy, but it was realistic. And a normal house cost about 3 times the average household made in a year. So, you know, if you worked and you saved, you could get there. And so prices rose, but then the problem is that income didn't rise with it. And then you've got the relationship is gone. So now starting in the 2000s, prices take off. And then after 2020, I mean, everybody was there watching that. It exploded. Nothing you could do at that point. And wages never caught up. And so when prices rise faster than what you're actually getting your pay, then, you know, the first thing that changes isn't prices. It's actually who can even buy. So let's go ahead and queue up this first time home buyers, the home prices. Let's queue up that first graphic and just show. Now, if you guys look at this chart, and maybe I should have pulled this up myself, but it's insane. If you look at this chart, the housing at the bottom there, you can see used to be $100,000 to afford a house, probably actually even less. It was around like $60,000 in real time money. And now it's around somewhere around 400,000. Now, let me see something real quick because this is kind of hard to see. I'm going to pull up give me 1 second, guys. I want to get our graphics on point here so that way I can actually read with you guys, because I prepared all of these things when it comes down to assets and graphs and such. So go ahead and yap for a second, Rex. I just need to do this.
I mean, I can read it. So you've got the growth that really starts to happen over 1975. Then you've got a kind of a peaking going on in 1990s. You've got another peak going on in the 2000s, and then you've got a real spike that occurs after 2015.
There we go.
And we think about this, and everyone, we kind of get lost in the sauce when it comes to America and time, because America is both a very young country, but it's a country that's also had a lot of things happen. Like every decade, something crazy happens, even though the time periods were like, nothing happened under Clinton, whatever. Well, NAFTA, Yugoslavia, all these things that we forget about. But I mean, looking at this, Tim, what is your analysis?
Analysis is we're cooked. I mean, you just look at where the graph is then and where it's going up now. The next one should also shock you, because you're also going to see, let's go ahead and switch to the median age, because that's also a big thing too. This started happening even before what we're seeing today. And so with the median age there, let me just make sure I got this pulled up. With the median age, where is it? So there we go. Okay. You can see in 1992, the average age was around 30, 31. And Rex, if you think about it, that's the age that most people in our generation growing up heard that, like, oh, that's when you can get a house. That's when you have to settle down. That's the number. That was the number to be. And now you look at 2024.
Well, this is criminal.
It's at 38, guys.
This is beyond anything. I mean, look at how that spikes. And this is why I'm glad we do the deep dives, is because when you look at the information, it really is black and white. Since 2016, it's gone up by like a decade, the average age to buy a home. And that's jumped up dramatically. Only the Gen X and only the boomer have the money. Only them.
Oh, we'll get into the specifics, man. But the whole point of this graph is to show you that this has been a growing issue even since 2016. And you can see you're going to become UNC status before. You might even be 50 before you afford your first house if this continues, and this trend might continue, right? So now here's the real fun part. Go ahead and switch to the income versus wages. I mean, yes, this is the exact one that I'm looking for. It's housing prices versus wages. Now, back in 1985, 3.5 times your income. Now, 2024, 2025, you're looking at 5.8 times your income. So you would need 5 times, almost 6 times your income to even afford a house.
Right.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the house is, order of magnitude more than what you're making, whereas before that was not the case. And that's why ultimately the boomer, they go, well, just strap up your bootstraps and get to work and you'll be able to afford a big mansion like me. And it's like, well, no, because the wages back then, you were paid 30 grand and you had to buy a house for 100 grand. We're getting paid 70 grand. We have to buy a house for $500,000.
Right. Because this is where the system actually breaks. Wages go up slowly, home prices go up fast, and the gap keeps getting wider and wider. And so now that it's close to 6, it's actually worse in certain cities,
right?
Much worse than this. This is just the average, right? And, even when the prices are going up faster than your pay, savings not going to help with this. You don't, the promos they give you isn't going to. Sometimes not even hard work is going to be able to fix this. And, if you look at the next graph, it's going to show just the same pattern. I think the next one shows, Andrew, that one's also going to show income versus wages. And you can just see, even going further back, and you can see where the trajectory is going. Guys, this chart is scary. This chart is scary, I know. This isn't the black pill show, but This is to make you aware
and
that the situation is continuously getting worse.
And neither Democrat or Republican, mind you, will campaign on this or talk to you about the actual numbers. Let's say housing bad because Republican bad, housing bad because Democrat bad. We're going to make it better. No one actually presents you the information regarding these things. They just use it being bad as a soundbite.
Right.
Like ultimately, even though what we're doing here is very basic, we're providing more value than any politician I've ever seen.
Right.
And I mean, it shouldn't be that way.
Shouldn't be that way. We're just random Joe Schmoes just doing a little simple podcast talk show, and we're giving more value than the guy who's out there supposed to be making the rules and trying to help you out to get to be able to afford a house.
You know, I don't like the word content. I do like giving value. That makes sense to me. I like that. Yes.
Yeah, content is your anti-word.
The C word.
The C word.
But we use it sometimes.
We use it sometimes.
It's modern language. Language changes, you know.
But, you know, remember we did a deep dive on Reaganomics, right? Where at a certain point, companies, they were, as the productivity increases, they were giving that money back to the person that created that productivity.
Ooh.
At some point, things transitioned somewhere around the 1980s in which you saw corporations starting to, instead of giving that money back to the person, they started doing things like stock buybacks, where that money that they made in profit goes back to buying their stock and making it go up higher. That is a reality. What were you going to say?
Just an excellent point. And we read super chats always, but we read really good chats when they come in from Naom. Don't forget the 70s dollar is not the modern day dollar. So think about how actually worse things are versus just the numbers. The numbers may show you 10 times, it's 100 times.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
100%.
And so like with this, you know, this is only the first part of the equation. You know I'm out here showing you guys the doom and gloom, and it feels rough seeing these charts and look at that, like, you know, by 2070.
That's not sustainable.
You know, that is a scary, and that is math.
It doesn't even look bad now compared to what it'll be.
Yes. So, you know, we might not be around by how old are we? 2070, we're 2026. We could be still around.
In
by
2070, I'll be 68 years old.
Okay, yeah, we should still be around. That would be a scary sight to see. You think we're complaining now? Worry about when these people who are born in like 2060 or 2050.
They'll be live streaming from the homeless shelter. Oh yeah,
you know what? And this, guys, by the way, this chart only happens if nothing changes. That only happens if nothing changes. And by the way, our generation, as we are speaking now, are the next to be in line to actually jump into these positions of power. And if we educate ourselves, we can go in there and make specific changes. Now, one of the other things you got to look at was what was a normal house during this time period. And you go ahead and jump to this next of the average house size. Part of the equation, it's so easy to point to like the guy who's just the making the rules and the person who is buying up all the houses. It's not that simple. All right. If you look at even 1790, the average house used to be 831 square feet. You look at it today, it's over 2,000 square feet, and even less people occupy that house because people are having less kids. Right. So, you know, houses,
they want something they can sell.
Right.
You know, they want to make money.
You're right. So houses didn't just get more expensive, they got bigger. So in the 1950s, if you're talking about 1,000 square foot home with bigger families, they had less amenities back then too. The bare minimum just to have a house, they just saw, okay, what are the essentials in order to have a roof over my head? Because that's the world they existed in. They had one bedroom so often, no AC, no garages. And now today, our bare minimum has reached to a level where we want, you know, central air and garage and modern amenities. And guys, those things are not just like you can just wipe them off. They cost money to integrate, as well as the size. The bigger the house, the more it costs. That is part of this equation here.
I mean, you look at all those like really cool, like Japanese, Korean, even Chinese cars and trucks that they just don't allow over here because it would mess up the profit model, right? Because what people actually like, hey, I could spend 20 grand and I could get a Toyota Helix and ride around in it for 10, 15 years and be totally fine. No. You're going to buy the fully loaded F-150 with the touchscreen and the Siri bot and all of it.
Well, you know, part of it is also as a society, we've gotten comfortable, Rex. Like, we didn't exist in the 50s to where we knew like a certain amount of struggle. Definitely in the 1700s, being with no AC, I'd be like, damn, I can't do it.
Well, I mean, air conditioning.
I can't do it.
Air conditioning is why the Southern United States is more populous now. like without AC. And like, this is a really big deal. This is why we have it here in the South and they don't have it in Europe at all. Is because it changed the world over here.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. And so like if you look at what used to be upgrades and now they're the baseline. And here's the thing. Most people, when they go to buy a house, if it doesn't have AC or central cooling, you're not buying that house. Let's be honest.
Right.
Most people are like, I'm not going to subject myself to 100-degree weather where I'm sweating my ass off. But all of those upgrades where these are bare minimum cost money. So the house can never go back to the price that it was because of the fact that the amenities that we require now are increased. So you're talking about, back then, most of these things never get mentioned. And also the lots of land which they built these houses on were smaller. And, one of the things that you got to understand also is that a lot of these cities, right? Most of the land was near cities, but they weren't built yet. So when you go to like, let's say 1910, and let's say you're in Boston at that time period, Boston isn't the same sprawling, or we'll take a better example. Let's say even Austin, Texas.
You're still right. I think you're still 100% right.
It wasn't a sprawling city like it is today.
Right.
To where you had actual space to build outwards. Most cities act like almost like you drop a rock into the water and it ripples outwards. The epicenter is where everybody and all the action and the jobs are happening and the houses get built around. And the closer you are typically to the center of the circle, the more expensive.
You're so right. And I want to piggyback on that because it's what I've seen my entire life. So like I've grown up here in Austin. I've lived everywhere in Austin or around Austin. I've lived downtown, Lake Travis, Westlake, Dripping Springs, South Central, South Side. I've literally basically been everywhere here except for like Bastrop. I haven't lived out there. And what I've seen over just the course of my life, being 23 years old, over the course of my life, is they build these massive housing complexes where it's like a company buys a massive piece of land and houses, it's a great deal. Just a $300,000 house, $400,000 house. There are no budget deals for people. There is no single developer that you can go pay. If you're getting forced into a community because you got to move somewhere to work or whatever, you're just going to take whatever option is readily available to you.
Yeah. So that's part of the equation. But then the also thing is people want to live where things are happening these days. You can go get a house, guys, for $100,000 and a starter home, and it's pretty good size. But you know where you got to go buy that? The middle of Kansas. Do you want to live in the middle of Kansas? Most people don't want to live. Most people don't want to live in the middle of Kansas.
Shout out to Kansas viewers. Sorry,
I mean, I lived in Kansas for 2 years. I know for a fact that those houses are dirt cheap. But then there's also nothing happening in Kansas to the extent that there's things happening here in Dallas and Austin, and it's fun and there's outdoor activities. So what happens is you have more amenities within a city, and you've had most of that land developed. It becomes more expensive to build housing in a place that has already been built out. That becomes a supply-demand issue, and there's more people that want to live in Austin than there are going to want to live in Kansas. That's also what's going to drive up prices as well.
You know the only Kansas city I can name?
What?
Kansas City. That's the only Kansas City I can name. I'm sorry.
I lived in Wichita for a couple of years.
Okay.
It's not Austin, but it's not bad. All my Kansas folks watching, sucks. But I had to leave that place at a certain point because there wasn't a whole lot of like business transactions and people and the things that I wanted to do. Then we also have to take another thing into account. Population, Rex. Do you know what the population of the United States was in the 1950s?
180 million.
Close. 150 million, right? So if you're talking about 150 million, now today it's over 330 million. So there's more people and even less houses to occupy those houses, those homes. So again, supply and demand. Andrew, go to that next slide. Sorry. I want to figure out what this is. Okay, so
1950s, the average new home measured approximately 983 square feet, accommodating about 3.37 people per household. 1960s, homes expanded to around 1,200 square feet, with household sizes slightly decreasing to 3.3 individuals. 1970s, the trend continued, with homes averaging 1,500 square feet, while household sizes reduced to 3.14 people. 1980s, new homes grew to about 1,740, and the average household size further decreased to 2.6.
Right.
You get richer, you get wealthier, population size goes down, housing prices go up.
Right. So then now we also need to talk about the starter home. Let's go ahead and switch to that, because that's a big thing as well. The average starter home was more available back then, but now it's not affordable to actually build a starter home. So go ahead and read this, Rex, real quick.
For sure. The homes that once gave Americans a stepping stone into real estate are disappearing, according to experts. While the exact definition of a starter home varies, they're typically under 1,400 square feet. In 2023, just 9% of the new homes built in the United States were under that size, according to Census Bureau data. In 1982, it was more like 40% of new homes. Experts say that restrictive zoning laws.
No,
Rupert, get
Rupert.
off the table.
Really?
The dog is messing with us.
That's crazy. You've never done that, buddy.
The dog's going insane.
That's crazy.
Get out, afuera. Afuera.
Bukele.
Get out. Experts say the restrictive zoning laws found around the country are to blame. These laws are set at the local level and dictate what can be built where. The laws have increased the cost to build homes, just let them go, of any size, eroding affordability for buyers in the process. Many builders are not leaving money on the table.
Okay, so this is part of the issue also with homes, right? Everyone talks about a starter home. My mom and my dad bought a starter home. It was probably less than 1,400 square feet, but that was back in the 90s.
Right.
Okay, now if the average home is bigger because people need more space and that's what they demand. Also, if it's also the fact that the builder has to make money, building that starter smaller home with all those amenities is not profitable for the builder. So they have almost no choice but to build bigger homes. If you want smaller, then you have to scale back on some of the things, and some people might not be happy with those things. So now with that being said, and you're talking about, the fact that okay, you got to concentrate it around major cities, job centers, and now you've ended up with more people chasing the land with the same high demand areas. Now you're looking at it from, people don't want to live in the middle of nowhere, like I said. So now that starter homes have disappeared and the collapse of that has gone from 40% to 9%, another thing that we have to look on is zoning, right? Because when a builder actually builds a house, it's not just like he can just go out there and just prop up whatever he wants. He has to get permits to build a specific type of building within that area because we've created rules and regulations. The reason why on certain aspects of why you need permits is because let's say somebody wants to build a skyscraper in the middle of this cul-de-sac. You can't do that.
All right.
Because it's aesthetically not the same. It causes a bunch of issues where you can flood the other houses. So you have zoning rules and you have permits, but a lot of the permits have created enough red tape that it's made housing more expensive. Permits alone add 25% to the housing cost. And if you're talking about specific regions like California, which have the worst of this permitting and zoning, it is no wonder a house in California costs so much now to build and house versus it was back then, because back in the day, California didn't have as many rules and regulations in the 50s as it does today. Now they want EPA laws and environmental this and environmental that, and you can't build this specific thing and it has to be this big. Let's go ahead and play this clip of how much of a nightmare it is to build a house in California. What? Oh. Go ahead and download that off, Andrew.
That's just a minor technical thing.
Go ahead and download that video off, and then go ahead and try it playing it again. But what do you think about all this so far?
I think it's been a phenomenal deep dive. It's been one of your
there
best.
we go. That's the one. Okay, let's go ahead and play this, Andrew.
All right, now in terms of home prices, zoning, and the worst housing shortage from the entire United States, let's talk about California. See, in many large California cities, a lot of the zoning requirement is dictated by parking. So if you want to go and build a brand new 600 square foot unit, you also have to supply an additional 300 square feet for that resident to park their car. If they wind up building that parking on ground level, that takes away from the space that they could be using just to build another unit. But if they go below ground, that costs a lot of money. So either way, that needs to be figured into the cost of the overall unit and eventually the price that you pay. This also isn't including all the other requirements like a minimum lot size, a minimum amount of open planted space, or a minimum amount of common space. And all of a sudden, building a 600 square foot apartment is now costing you the equivalent of building 1,100 square feet with everything else that you have to add on to it. And of course, they have to charge like you're buying or renting 1,100 square feet. You also have this completely backwards permit system that creates indefinite delays, where to run plumbing, you have to get a permit for that. But before you could get that permit, you have to go to a different department to get a permit to dig a trench. But to get that permit, you have to go to a different department to be able to start the work after an environmental review. Oh, and you also risk getting denied for a permit at every single step, at which point you have to resubmit and start over again from the back of the line. Even for me, I spent over $200,000 building out a 720 square foot unit. I paid over $10,000 in city fees and permit filings. But then they charged me another $20,000 to fix a sewer line, which required me to go and get a permit from urban forestry to trim the city-owned tree roots. But the tree turned out to be diseased, so I had to get another permit to be able to remove the tree, and another permit to be able to replace that tree with another tree. You can't even make this up. Getting these permits, by the way, could take hours, days, weeks, months. You have no idea. They could be denied at any point where you have to start the process over again.
Yeah, man. Permits. There's so much that goes into this stuff. I mean, no matter what it is, this red tape and regulation, they had good intentions when they first started out with a lot of these things, right? Like it wasn't like they just decided, well, we just got to add a bunch of permits just because we just feel like it. Some issue came up and they went and they put a patch over it. And then another issue comes up and then you put another patch over it. And then pretty soon you've got like all these different patchworks of things that happen to fix issues that came up then, and you don't realize it stacks up to create a monster of a situation. So when you think about housing, you have to take in consideration how much it costs to build that housing. And with 25% just coming up from just the permitting system and all the problems and going back in, that builder is going to pass the cost down to the consumer. He's not going to eat that.
Just like a tariff, who's going to pay that? You're going to pay it because they're just going to raise the price of the item.
Right. Because the whole point of a builder is they don't just go out there to do the Lord's work and make you happy. They have a business to run.
Trying to make money.
They're trying to make money, 100%. So, damn, my computer's going to die. Whatever. So now we have to look at the fact of if you're talking about the permits and things like that, and it's 25%, small homes are hit the hardest, by the way. And the builders, in order to actually make their money, have to build bigger and more expensive in order to actually make money on the project, like I've said earlier. Now, let's look at what's happening in construction, because that's another thing. If we're talking about supply and demand, you got to look at how much housing supply there is and how much construction is being built in the States in order to meet the demand. All right, go ahead and pull that up, Andrew.
Damn it, the dog just swallowed a nicotine pouch. Oh, come on, Rue.
Rue's going to do what Rue's going to do.
Come on, man.
All right, so if we look at this chart here about construction starts, you're going to see that in the 1965, it was sitting somewhere, and let's focus on the red line, this is single family units, somewhere around 1 million. And then we increased, and then we had a peak around 2005. And then you know what happened? Andrew, go back, sorry. We're staying on that other chart. Yeah, stay on this one. So you see what happened when the massive drop of supply, that was because of 2008 crisis. So we went from building 1.6 million homes and new family starts down to almost 400,000, and we're still recovering. We're getting better because people started complaining about the fact that housing is becoming more unaffordable. But when you have less houses being built, more people being born, more people getting to an age where they want a house, and there's less supply, then that also increases the actual cost of the house. Supply and demand. It's that simple, right? So now we have to look at not just that. I mean, the home building collapse the entry level construction actually never recovered for the most part, and the population keeps growing. So another thing that we have to talk about is COVID, because COVID was a very big thing as well. We know what happened in 2008 and everybody lived through COVID, but COVID was a specific time period from 2020 all the way to 2023. Houses jumped quicker than they ever have. And if you're going to look at this other chart, but what really happened there was when COVID hit, the entire supply chain was hit. So there was material shortages, there was labor shortages, and it cost more money to build a house. So that's one part of the equation. And then there was a thing we had called interest rates. When 2020 happened, interest rates, because of the 2008 crisis, the Fed had dropped their interest rates super low to where getting an interest rate, you could get an interest rate for almost like 1%.
Right.
If you had really good credit, 2%. Now, Andrew, pull up this next chart because this is a really important chart for people to understand. So if you look at this chart here, it's going to show you that over 80% of people have below a 6%. And even below the 4%, 53% have below a 4% rate. And that is because getting an interest rate during that time period was super easy. You know, props to whoever bought a house in 2021. Like you did the right thing. Look, you got lucky. You won the lottery. If you could buy a house at 2%. Yeah. But what ends up happening is that now it creates a lock-in effect. Are you going to go and give your 2% rate away for 7% of where it's at right now?
Even if you don't like where you're living, no, absolutely not.
So then what we have is called the golden handcuffs, in which you have all these people who have below 6%, and you've got all these people who even have below 4%, and they're not moving. So inventory freezes, causing another issue, even less supply. And people are just going out there. You know, during 2022 or 2021, when the rates were so low, it actually incentivized people, because they realized it wasn't going to last forever, to go out and actually buy a house and get a super low rate and lock it in before it even could go away. And what that ended up causing was competition. So then you had literally people paying over asking price because there was like 10 bids on one house, because somebody wanted to go and live in this particular house. And again, the sellers realized, well, I can make money here. I can charge more because there's 10 people looking for this house. And then what ends up happening is as you sell a house and you sell multiple houses in a neighborhood, people use that as a comparable price for what the other houses have to go for. So then you get all the houses in that area. You can't have a house that's $500,000 that just sold down the street and then say this other one's worth $250,000. That's not how it works. We price homes accordingly to what the market is in its demand. So then all the rest of the houses that even weren't sold now get valued at around that $400,000 mark.
Right.
It's crazy. So now, like, you look at it and it's just like, it's so easy to like pinpoint it and just be like, well, it's this, well, it's that. Like, it's actually, what I'm pointing to here, guys, is it's a combination of multiple things.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think about this?
I got a take, and I'll give it. I just want to respond to someone in the chat. Nicotine pouches like Zyn, On, or Velo are highly concentrated and can be lethal to a juvenile dog or puppy due to their small body weight. Yeah, this is a 125-pound Doberman Pinscher, European one that's addicted to nicotine. It's very bad. I don't want it to happen. I'm trying to prevent it from happening. It's just he's very big and very grumpy, and he burst his way into the studio.
Yeah.
So just clarifying, but it is.
Do you want to move him or?
It is what it is. Here's the thing, right? It's like I look at it from the perspective of like I'm making good money. I'm running my business. I'm doing whatever. I'm still at a point to where like the thought of getting a loan where you have like 6, 7, or 8% on like a quarter or $500,000, something that's just unreasonable. I just wouldn't do that. It's more expensive to buy a home and pay for it over time than it is to start a small business.
Yeah, and it's cheaper to rent a house now.
100%.
Like, to be honest, if I didn't go out and buy a house just for the fact that somebody else was going to go pay the mortgage for investment, I would never buy a house for myself because it's too expensive for me to just pay the mortgage and live out of one house without having a family or a real reason to have a house of that size, right? So one thing that we have to cover, because this is the thing that's been spilled out all across the news. Trump has said it. I hear all these politicians talking about do BlackRock and Vanguard and all these other companies, are they the reason why housing prices are going up? And I'm literally going to debunk this right now and show you guys a bunch of stats for you guys to digest. You can sit there, you can argue, you can say, oh, it's not true, this is fake. Well, there's more probable cause for this to be right than somebody just reading a headline.
Right.
So let's go ahead and go to this next chart, this fact check, Andrew.
For the record, the dog is fine.
Yeah, he's
this
fine.
Is not the first
time
that this has happened.
Definitely not the first time. So, fact check: do private equity firms own 20% of single-family homes? This is what people have been touting. 20% is a big number, and I'll explain where that 20% is coming from. The answer is no. Large institutional investors defined as owning over 100 homes, in which includes private equity firms, own 3%. 3% of single-family homes rental stock nationwide, according to Brookings. And Brookings is a very big conglomerate that actually measures these things and has to measure these things because it's important to know where the supply is going. This share is higher than some of the local markets in the 20 metropolitan statistical areas in which investors are most present. They own 12.4%. There are areas where there are people having higher share. That does exist, but they own still less than that 20% being reported. So now the Urban Institute similarly finds that just they own 3.8% of nationwide of single-family rental stock. Considering other purchases rather than holdings, investors, those buying non-primary residencies, bought nearly 20% of all homes sold in the first quarter of 2025. However, most of those purchases are likely by small-time investors, those who own less than 5 properties, as they own 85% of owned residential properties. And there has been extensive research. Okay, we've covered the 3%. Let's go to the next chart. This is a very important one as well. Okay, this chart here is going to show you the breakdown of investors and what percentages own what of the people buying the houses. Okay, so out of the 100% of investors, you're going to see 80% are small mom and pop investors who basically own less than 5 properties. I am technically part of this 80%. I don't own 100 properties, right? I'm part of that 80% where like I just wanted to go out and buy a house because I thought it was a good investment. And that's the thing that a lot of people were told.
To do real estate.
Yeah, real estate. That is a big thing that has happened in society where you've got people who have made a ton of money back in 2014 and 2015 or even 2010, and they're making all this cash flow, and then they're making YouTube videos and they're like, you could be just like me. And it became cool to invest in real estate. Just remember that, guys. Like a lot of mom and pop means like just people who were just regular average. Yeah, exactly. And then you can see 3% is institutional, 3% is national, and then you've got 14% that are regional investors, which are like people who are bigger than mom and pop, but like own different assets in different cities within like a state, right? So of this percentage, right, we're saying 80% is small mom and pop. Let's just see who owns the houses in general in the United States. Let's go to the next chart. Okay.
The dog is like static electricity.
So this is where that 20% is coming from, guys. You saw that 20% in the first graphic I showed you. Investors own 20% of U.S. homes, okay? Of the nation's 86 million family homes, single-family homes, townhouses, just 17 million, just under 20%, are investor-owned. These homes primarily serve as rentals or short-term rentals. Such a word salad. Providing essential housing supply in which the markets where there's new construction cannot meet demand. Okay, so 20% of that 20%, remember, 80% are mom and pop. I provide housing to people. I'm not just like out there to make a quick buck. Like I'm providing people housing to where they don't have to spend as much money as I did in order to live out of that house. And it's so unfortunate because I would like for people to be able to do that, but that's not the reality of the situation we're in. And a regular mom and pop guy, he's trying to make a living for himself and try to do something bigger for his future.
You shouldn't have to work a decade and like sweat and bleed to be able to own something basic. at the end of the day. And like this is not a revolutionary concept, but it's something that the boomers and the Gen X are kind of like, well, you just need to work hard. It's like, well, no, actually, your rent was like, well, it was like $200.
Mhm.
Is that what your rent was? Well, we're paying like $2,000. Okay, so how about you sit down and shut up, old man? Like seriously,
Right.
well, you just need to try harder. When I was your age, I was working a job, and I was working at the factory. Well, factory jobs used to be awesome, and you used to get paid a ton of money. And I'm sure there are opportunities for housing as well built around the factory.
Right. You're 100%
It's
right.
like, well, when the factory closed down, I sold my house for $500,000. I moved to Florida, and it's like, well, fuck you, right? Yeah, so go ahead.
And it's super unfortunate. We try to make light of it, but it really does suck, right? Like, even at the highest level of investor shares, you've got Maine, Montana, and Alaska and Hawaii, which are like sitting somewhere around 26 to 30%, right? Like, that's a lot. Like, that means that houses in those regions are being owned by investors. But then that doesn't cover the rest of the United States, where you've got Connecticut, my hometown, shout out, where only 10% of investors are owning the houses, which means that 90% are owned by people who have already bought and are owner occupied, living inside of that house. Okay? So this is why I cover this, guys. I'm not sitting here trying to be like, let's defend the big man and let's let these corporations buy us up and buy. All I'm trying to do is give you the truth. I'm trying to expose where the reality, and it's very easy to just have talking points. I could sit on here for 2 hours and tell you that the man up top in these big corporations are the ones that what just happened there? The man up top in these corporations are the reason why we are struggling with housing. But I can't honestly sit here and tell you that's the reality of the situation. You already saw the numbers, guys. It's 20% is all investors, and of that is 3%. You do the math. That doesn't mean that all the housing is being done by that. It's really what I'm getting at is this is a very big supply and demand issue. This doesn't just concern housing. This is with everything. You want Taylor Swift tickets? Best be sure if you buy those when they're already all bought, you're going to be paying like $20,000 for that. Super Bowl tickets. There's a lot of people that want to go to Super Bowl. You spend a lot of money to go to the Super Bowl because everybody wants those tickets. It sucks, but like that is the way that society is functioning. And we did not meet enough demand in terms of the housing to supply that. And you know what? Maybe if enough people are like, hey, I'm willing to go move to Wyoming and live in the middle of nowhere so that you guys can be able to afford a cheaper house, you know, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be very nice. But I'm not going to be the first one to sign up. Are you guys? I certainly am not going to be the first one. And so it sucks. But you know, we're in the situation that we're in. And so you know, all of this to be said, COVID just made a bad situation worse. It didn't create it. If the supply had kept up, the impact would have been limited. The prices wouldn't have been able to run up. And, you know, scarcity isn't just an American problem. This happens across the world, guys. This happens across the world. We're not the only ones dealing. And this is why I say this show is a global show, because what I'm about to show you is that we're not the only country dealing with this. And if we're not the only country dealing with this, that means it can't be that it's a whole corporation thing, because other countries are having the same problems in which corporations don't have the same pull as American countries. Andrew, go ahead and cue up this clip talking about international homes here, because this is important. Got to download this one off too, I guess. Rex will be back shortly. But, you know, it's just very interesting when I spend time looking into these things. I thought I knew exactly why these things were happening. And as I researched them more, I realized I know less than I think I do. And everybody should realize that that is true for themselves as well. Right? Maureen says, in my area, this crap started with Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina, you're right. Hurricane Katrina also creates a supply and demand issue. Houses get destroyed. They've got to build more houses. But keep in mind, this is a really big thing. Those houses were built a really long time ago. So when you have to replace a house, you have to do it according to current standards. You can't grandfather the permits. California is dealing with this thing too. When all those houses burned in the Palisades By the way, the amount of money it took to build that house costs like a quarter or half of what it costs today in order to build that same house. So now that house, somebody's going to go build it, right? But it's going to cost them, instead of like $400,000, it's going to cost them $1 million or $2 million just to build that same house in the Palisades that burned down. Now, if a house costs $2 million to build, what do you think it's going to cost in order to actually buy that house? Somebody's got to make a profit. Nobody's out here just giving hand-me-outs. That house is going to cost you at least $3 to $4 million easily. You know, I'm throwing out ballpark numbers, but the whole thing stands true. And I know somebody's saying 2K rent an ATX. That's pretty dear. How many square feet? Dude, the reason why people are flocking to Texas, and myself included, is because it's one of the regions where you can still buy a house. And that's because the Northeast and California is like the most densely populated parts in the United States. And Texas still had a lot of room to grow in land. Like there's, you know, it's crazy, Rex. Here, I see like 20 minutes outside of downtown, there's still land.
Right.
You go to New York, you go to Boston, that doesn't exist.
Right.
Because that was the first place that was occupied by people. Like then we grew out from there. So you just see houses sprawled from spot to spot.
It's also a different culture as well. I mean, these places are very, very urban up north. Like I've been to most states. Like I'm not ignorant. I'm very aware of how things are, especially like above Virginia. It's a different world down here, and it's like that. You know, look at the Southwest, for example. Look at like Arizona is becoming super popular now. Right?
Yeah, and now the houses are going to become more expensive.
Right.
I'm sorry. People are now realizing, well, if I can't buy a house in New York, I better move to Texas. And guess what that's going to cause? It's going to mean that at a certain point, Texas housing prices is going to be just like California was if they run out of land to build those houses.
Yeah, good news is I don't think they will.
No, there's so much
shittier places you live.
Yeah, there's plenty of land here, so I don't think they're going to run into that anytime soon. But this is an international issue. We're not the only ones dealing with this. Andrew, go ahead and play that clip.
Researchers use something called the median multiple, the price of a typical home, divided by a typical household's yearly income. In a healthy market, that number sits around 3. But this year, something unprecedented happened. For the first time in the report's 21-year history, not a single market was considered affordable. While conditions vary, most of the 95 cities now fall into the seriously or severely unaffordable categories, meaning a typical home costs more than 4 to 5 times what a typical household earns. And in 12 of them, things have gotten so bad, they added a new label. Impossibly unaffordable, where the median home costs more than 9 times the median income. At the top of this list is Hong Kong at 14.4 times income, and Sydney isn't far behind at 13.8. Then comes San Jose, Vancouver, and Los Angeles. And once you start looking beyond those cities, you realise the same pattern repeats across entire countries. Homes in Australia's average city are now near 10 times median income. Even smaller markets like Perth or Brisbane are now less affordable than New York. In Canada, affordability has been collapsing since the mid-2000s. Vancouver has ranked amongst the 4th least affordable cities on Earth for 18 years straight, and Toronto isn't far behind. Greater London homes now sit at 9 times median income, while the UK average has crept to 5.6, which is roughly double what it was in the 1990s. Even the United States, well known for its sprawling suburbs and cheaper housing, has climbed from 3.9 before the pandemic to 4.8 today. For context, Pittsburgh, the most affordable city on the list, sits at 3.2. That used to be normal, now it's a miracle. Just 30 years ago, nearly all of these cities...
So, you see, Pittsburgh used to be affordable, but now it's not. And that's because Pittsburgh, like I gave the analogy to Texas, right? You know, not everybody's like me who's going to want to move all the way out here. But like, you know, Pennsylvania is pretty much still close enough to the East Coast where it's reasonable for you to move to Pittsburgh to where you can still travel to go back home.
Absolutely.
So people are migrating to these cities that have more supply and cheaper housing because it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to go to where the supply and where you can actually afford a house. And that still gives you somewhat of that city feel.
Yeah. I got Sock Muppet saying here in Houston, you never own property. It'll eventually flood out and have to be sold. I mean, Houston is on top of a swamp and then it's right next to the coast. You get the hurricanes. I don't get H-Town. Like, respect to H-Town. Y'all are cool people, whatever, but just Dallas is better.
Yeah, that's where my property. Dallas is better for investment. Even Austin's really good for investment. Like most people are not like just going out and buying homes in the East Coast anymore. Unfortunately, these are affordable markets to where you can still buy somewhat of a starter home, afford it, and put somebody in that can afford the rent. Because keep in mind, you as a landlord have a certain amount that you have to pay towards mortgage.
Right.
And you can't go below that. Otherwise, you're just losing money month after month. So if your mortgage is a certain amount, that also dictates the amount of rent. And the bigger a house you get, or the more expensive that house is, the higher the rent needs to be.
Right.
And at a certain point, it just becomes an equation that doesn't add up. Like most people can't afford like $6,000 a month for a rent.
we got such a good deal in this house right now that we're in.
Yeah,
Like
most houses,
it's crazy.
Most houses like this, I think this could be around like $2,000.
We can't let the landlord know. Just watch it. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying in general, most houses in Austin are around $2,000, like $1,500, $2,000. You can get a big house. You can't get that in New York.
Get a studio apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. So let's go ahead and keep playing this clip.
Were affordable. Home prices rose roughly in line with incomes, but today they've completely split apart. The report's authors called this an existential threat to middle-income households, and you don't need to be a researcher to see why. When home prices rise faster than wages, the effects spread far beyond the housing market. Families delay having kids, workers turn down better jobs because they can't afford to move, and younger generations lose access to what used to be the cornerstone of middle-class life, owning a home.
Sucks, man.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It does.
Guys,
does indeed.
All I'm saying is I don't cover this stuff to make you guys upset or feel like, damn, you know what, there's no hope. The whole point of why I'm even covering this thing is that you're not the only person experiencing this.
Right.
Australians have it worse, by the way. There's only like certain parts of Australia that like people actually live in. If you go and pull up a map of Australia and you look at the population,
prison colony.
Andrew, can you actually just do that real quick? Can you just quickly search where most people live in Australia and just see if you can find like a heat map of like how much where like most of the concentration of people are, because not all these areas, like Australia is like almost as big as the United States, if I'm not mistaken.
It's
right?
a continent.
It's a whole continent. But at the same time, not all of it is inhabitable, let alone people have actually live in those regions. Everybody lives along the coastal line because the center is like basically a desert. No one wants to live there.
It's literally was a prison colony. Like that's where the British people used to send the worst of the worst, and that's why they're so tough to this day.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Right. 100%. So now they even have a worse housing situation because they have even less cities. Here in the United States, we at least have like 50 different cities you could go to where you could kind of get like a decent living. You know, and there they only have probably like 10 or 20. All right, go ahead and show this map. This is good. This is good. Okay, population density. Do you guys see?
There's no one in the middle.
There's no one in the middle. Everybody's living along the coast. I didn't even have this plan, but this is important. And if you look at those heat maps, that's really where the cities where everybody wants to live. Again, I told you, no one wants to live in Kansas. Do you want to live in Kansas?
No.
Hell no. So why would somebody want to live in the middle of nowhere? They're going to want to live near Brisbane. They're going to want to live near Melbourne. They're going to live near Sydney, the big cities where you can actually do business, you can have a good life. What that means is less houses for more people, and their housing supply is even less than us, and they're dealing with the same issues. So, like I said, what this situation actually means is there's people trying to come up with solutions. We're not the only country dealing with this, but let's go ahead and play the next clip. You might have to download that one too, Andrew, but we'll see if that clip plays. But there are people trying to address the issue. I mean, everyone's dealing with it. Somebody's got to have a solution to this stuff. Okay, that's the video. Go ahead and play that.
To stop this. Some countries are starting to try. New Zealand launched a plan called Going for Housing Growth in 2023, which forces major city councils to zone enough land for 30 years of housing demand. Their goal is simple: make land supply predictable so prices can't spiral out of control. In the US, cities like Minneapolis and states like California have begun loosening single-family zoning. That means duplexes and small apartment blocks can be built in neighbourhoods that once allowed only one house per lot. This opens up supply where people actually want to live. Singapore is taking a completely different approach. There, nearly 90% of households own their homes thanks to massive public housing program managed by the Housing and Development Board. The government buys land, builds at scale, and sells apartments directly to citizens at subsidised prices. So yes, this shows that if you treat housing as infrastructure, like roads or schools, you can achieve near universal ownership. Then there are countries tackling speculation instead of supply. Hong Kong and Wales both tax second homes heavily. In Wales, local councils can charge up to 300% council tax premium. Taiwan taxes properties sold within 2 years at up to 45%, discouraging fast flips and speculative buying. And in the Netherlands, some municipalities have banned investors from buying in certain neighbourhoods to keep homes for locals. The US is now exploring a similar idea with the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. This act would stop hedge funds and other big real estate firms from owning single-family homes altogether. So yes, to fix this crisis we need more homes, but we also need to rethink who's buying them, where they're built, and what kind of economy they're fueling. Because at its core, it's the same old story, a tidal wave of money flowing into a handful of assets and drowning the middle and low-income classes in the process. And unless that imbalance changes, no amount of zoning reform or new construction will make homes truly affordable.
Yeah.
So other countries, they have different regulations and different means to try to prevent people from gaming the market. We do not. People are like, that's socialism. You want socialism? We have a capitalist society. It's like, yeah, well, are you tired of being raped? What, like, aren't you tired of that? Wouldn't you like to see some change? Hey, maybe it's a good thing if they aren't able to flip things within a year or 2 years.
The problem, the major problem is there's so many problems stacked on top of each other,
Right.
and each problem weaves into another situation,
Right.
to where, like, again, like the affordability of like people's income is like a separate issue than housing itself.
Mhm.
Like, those are two separate issues, but they kind of tie
They meet
in
the
together,
middle 100%. Yeah.
right? So like a lot of these issues stack on top of each other, and then you don't know who to blame or who to go after, right? And so I'm going to summarize this for you guys so that you guys can, anytime somebody asks you about like, what do you think about the housing situation? You get to point to this deep dive and say that you learned a lot more. And I'm going to summarize this. Housing didn't become unaffordable because of one villain. It became unaffordable because we ran out of buildable land where people actually want to live. Population has more than doubled, and the housing supply has not doubled at that time period. We stacked regulations on top of each other. We punished small. We punished small and simple homes. We flooded the system with cheap money, and then we locked the market in place because of the fact that we have all these people in these cheap mortgages. It's a culmination of a bunch of things. And I'm not here to say that the corporations aren't exacerbating or making the situation worse. Yeah, I don't want BlackRock going up in one neighborhood and buying up 10 houses, right? Like, yeah, that will locally create an artificial high for those regions. And, you know, they really don't have any business owning a single family house when they have so many other things they can invest in, right? Like, the mom and pop is the majority of it. And the whole institutional buying, that's something new, by the way. The only reason why that's existing now is because a lot of other assets are risky right now.
Mhm.
COVID messed up. You guys have no idea. COVID messed up so many different investment avenues to where we got into a situation where no one knew and experienced it before.
Well, it's a thing like we cover, and it seems to be kind of a root cause. We do all the deep dives, not really even a root cause, kind of the inverse of that, but it really is that. It's a correlation, a coalition of factors and different things that have happened over times that lead to the outcome that we have today. And I just really think, like, I think it's been a phenomenal deep dive. I've really enjoyed it. I've really learned a lot. I think it was someone in the chat that made the point of our money not being the same as 1970s money. And someone else in the chat was like, well, no, it's more expensive here by 30%. It's like, well, it's thousands of times more expensive because of the inflation.
Mhm.
At the end of the day.
Inflation does play a role.
So every single, not even just a role, every single factor that you've mentioned, you're just looking at facts on the ground, the percentages there. These statistics don't take into account inflation. They're not taking inflation into account. And even if they are, they're not totally doing it because there'd be no way to do that at scale.
Yeah, there's no way to take it into a scale, but where inflation is tricky is because when the money supply was increased and people had more money to buy back in 2021 because of the COVID stimmies, that's why they bought more houses.
I'm thinking about the 22 grand for the 70 grand home versus now the 70 grand for the $420,000 home.
Well,
I'm thinking about the money there.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I see where you're going with that.
For sure.
It's very hard because everything's about proportions. Like, a house that costs like $10,000 back in like 1960s is equivalent to like 80 something thousand today. Like it's very hard to figure out what the specifics are. But one thing you can guarantee though is that houses have gone up faster than what they should have in order for people to catch up. Like
and the wages don't match.
The wages don't match up. That's actually the key to this equation. Is part of like what people are talking about is like they don't realize that 2% raise ain't going to do a whole lot for you guys. I'm sorry.
No.
It's not going to.
No.
If the wages were to keep up with the actual housing supply and demand and all that stuff, yeah, it might. But then also it's very difficult because you saw when COVID, when more people had more money to put towards a down payment, they went and bought more houses, which made it hard. So it's almost like we're stuck in a feedback loop where it's like, it's very hard unless you were to like, people were just like, I don't want to live in a city anymore. And I just want to live in the middle of nowhere, and you had less demand.
Right.
That's also part of the equation. But
well,
this is the end of my deep dive. I appreciate every single one of you that have tuned in, listened. We do these every single Sunday.
Yes, and I want to get into that. So Tim has taken some time away to reformulate things and to come back. We're really trying to line it up so that Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday you get a phenomenal deep dive, but that takes help. That takes resources. We've got the phenomenal Andrew on the switching, on the controls now. He's kind of our Jamie. It's a very cool situation we have for ourselves. So if you want to see more stuff like this, and you want to see more stuff like this soon, because we do the show all the time, you're going to want to follow Truism Tim on X. That's number 1. And you're going to want to follow Gray Area Talks on X. That's number 2. Number 3 and 4 would be going to the YouTube if you're not there already, or going to the Rumble page, also under the same name, at Gray Area Talks, and just go ahead and give us a subscribe. Just do it. Leave us a comment, leave something hateful, whatever. Not too hateful, but we're having fun here. We really appreciate the opportunity to come to you guys and to give you this information. Let me tell you right now, no one works harder than Tim when doing this. I mean, the preparation, all of it, he does these deep dives in the truest meaning of the word. It is a deep dive.
Yeah, and you guys can't see it. I am sick as a dog right now. I'm like Jordan with the flu.
You've had a ton of energy today.
But
you've been performing well.
All I did was take a Red Bull and power through it. But today I got like some cold going on. I got migraine going on. But I love the fact that we get to have these guests. I love the fact that we have an audience that cares so much. And it doesn't matter. I'll be fine at the end of the day. But the whole thing of what I am in the love of the game for is to give value to people.
Right.
That's my main mission. And Rex is right. If you guys find this helpful, if you guys love what I'm doing here, yeah, give me a follow. It really helps because then I'm able to actually.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Tim works really hard, not just on the deep dives, but also trying to get guests on, right? And a lot of the great guests you've seen come on the show, like Suleiman, who I want to have back on, are because of Tim's legwork and really hard work. However, it's hard to do stuff like that when you don't have a big account. I have, a medium-sized account, but that's just off surname, merchant, name value, whatever. I hope that a lot of people like what I have to say, but I got a leg up on the competition. To make the show really grow into what it needs to be, we need your support. And we have supplement products at goprimalcore.com. We do that. That's whatever. That's secondary. The primary thing is making sure our audience is big enough to where we can get these people on.
Right.
And we're working really hard to do that.
And I apologize for anybody who's done a super chat. My computer literally died in the middle of this.
We're having a technical problem.
To actually read the super chats.
Next stream.
Yeah, next stream I will read the super chats. I'm sorry. I think Honey Badger and New Groiper both did a super chat. I didn't get a chance to read them. Something glitched to where Stein was talking and it tried to do it on
take
top
the
of
audio out.
Yeah, I think these softwares are not really good at balancing the audio.
Well, so there's a way to make it work.
We'll fix that for sure. But anybody who does any super chats, those go directly towards helping the show itself. I don't take anything out of that. Rex doesn't take anything out of that. We go and we put it into the subscriptions that make these things work. That little chat box that you see on the right, I wanted to do that because I was like, you know what? Hey, we are the only ones that see the chats. I want everybody to see each other's chats, and we want this to feel like you guys are part of something. Sorry for people who are messaging on Rumble. Rumble software is way behind to where it doesn't allow the integrations to these platforms.
Someone with a head injury made it.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough.
That's why you're only seeing X and YouTube chats. But I've had a really fun time tonight. Thank you for anybody who's supporting the show. A lot of people are new here. We do these every single Sunday. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss them. If you want a show that's different, that doesn't feel like, it's just slop and you're tired. We even had some fans that are being like, you guys are the only show I watch now because it's the only one that's bearable.
Right. And now I'll say, if you want a little bit of a lighter side, if you want a little bit of the slop, my goal is to be live every single day. Tim does the marquee show with me. We do that Thursday and Sunday. Eventually we'll be back to Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday where we'll have the marquee show. I am live every single day. RexX Gray Area. It's a different channel. I've been posting to the Gray Area channel, but it will be live on X. So if you want to catch me, just check out my X profile. I'm live every day around the same time. And then what we talk about, what we discuss, it all carries into the bigger shows that we have.
Yeah.
And the goal is just, we want this to be a comfortable place for people to come chill out, share ideas, really just bond with each other over the shared humanity. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to read some of these comments because, Gotta show some people some
a lot
love.
of W's.
A lot of W's. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mal Johnson.
Maureen, how was that Primal Core that we got you sent over? She's one of the ones that's won the previous game show. We sent her over some Primal Core. Let us know how that stuff is going for you and your loved ones. You can.
I'm gonna double check that order.
No, she got it.
She got it.
Yeah,
okay.
She got it for sure. What does it say? They can only do what people instruct them to do. If we skip the civic duty, the lobbyists fill in the gaps.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the show's about. It's just ultimately we've lived under really 3 generations of no due diligence when it comes to our government.
Okay, I'm going to read some more chats. Even the law of nations would, I don't know what that means.
The dollar lost 11% in the last year. The government has no plans to stop stealing from the dollar. 2.5% a year is the goal. So the dollar will probably continue to lose value. Absolutely. New peso. Absolutely. All the COVID culprits are celebrating in Davos right now.
Birth rates are declining globally now. I thought immigration issue would open up some homes. No, these aren't tied together, to be honest. The amount of people isn't really the issue here. It's like, literally, we stopped building homes for almost a decade.
I mean, they'd be too broke to buy a home. It's like 10 people living in an apartment together type of thing.
Yeah, if you go to LA, dude, people are paying by the room $1,500.
Yeah.
We have too many problems to fix via voting. Your generation is effed. Only post crash can things be corrected.
I agree with that. That's what I talk about on the show. I talk about the crash. Rex has so many guests on. Who is this hardworking guy? Is he replacing Tim? I guess that's referring to me as a joke, saying I'm hardworking now. The guest thing is a shared effort. All right. So I've brought some people on. Tim's brought some people on. That changes from time to time, from week to week. We're trying to get that more streamlined. We're trying to develop an approach to, trying to introduce ourselves to people and introduce them to our show. And
Right.
it's becoming easier now because of the help of the viewers, of the listeners, and of the support and of the engagement. We've been able to get these bigger and better guests onto our show.
100%. And I think they're seeing the fact that you guys are super engaged. And a lot of people have come from, just seeing that Alex Stein is tuning in. And
Right.
everybody who reposts, we really appreciate that too.
Right.
I'll just read 1 or 2 more comments left. If you don't own the land, owning the home is irrelevant. Its eminent domain can boot you. Okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
Welcome to debt slavery. Yeah. Yeah.
Here in Houston, you'll never own it properly. It'll eventually flood out. Oh, I think you read that one already.
Rex had to dip. What's going on? The dog had to urinate.
Yeah, he came on and basically almost jumped on the table. He's
Yeah, he was
never
asking
done
to go
that.
pee.
That's how you know it was bad.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys. Again, please just give us a follow if you found any value in this show.
No. Follow Truism Tim on X. If you're watching on Twitter, then you're probably already following me, and that's cool. And I appreciate you. Thank you for doing that. We need to get Tim to 1K. It's time to get Tim to 1K. We're very close. It's like 200 away or whatever, 200 and some change.
Pretty
It doesn't
close.
matter. Let's get Tim to 1K. Let's do it tonight. Let's make it really cool and just be a part of the gray area, be a part of the journey, be a part of the true next level of the true
And
new
my-
Americana. Come home to the show.
And my X account is right there in the bottom right corner. Also,
Look how easy that is.
Also, if you're watching on X right now, Rex's bio has my name right there. You can takes 2 clicks. You click on my name and you click on follow. And I would really appreciate every single one of you guys that does that. I actually read my DMs, by the way. I have a lot of people that like love the show. I reach back. You can ask people. I'm like at the point
Right.
where I'm not like, you know, Tim Pool, where I'm like, oh, I'm too cool to respond to people.
We'll never be like Tim Pool.
You know, like I really do care about the people that reach out, and I do see comments, you know? So
right.
Just if you want to be still part of this boots on the ground, because this train is going, bro.
And think about how many phenomenal deep dive how many phenomenal deep dive suggestions and deep dives we've done that have been viewer and listener based. How many
100%.
phenomenal suggestions we've got. Let's not forget, we've done 45 episodes of this show so far, and that doesn't even include the ones that we taped. So we've been doing this for a while. It's been an opportunity to get to interact with people, and people see us address a topic. It's what people are asking for.
Yes.
And that's what the show is like, we're not coming on here to be preachy about some culture war thing that you don't care about. These are things that really affect everybody.
Yeah.
That's why we do
The one show we did where we have to cover it every once in a while, where we like covered the Fort Huachuca Hookah
Waka Chaka.
You know, like those things were so distracting that I was like, what even is the point of what she's saying here? She spent 2 hours yapping about that.
Oh, you don't believe everything Candace Owens says. You're insane. Like that's a conversation for another day. Actually, we've had that conversation already.
And it drained us both, because that is not what we're about.
I mean, you talk about doing the deep dives. I watched 5 of her podcast episodes, and I watched a couple of them on repeat, because people are like, you don't know what she said. You can't debunk. Oh, and she's like, okay, all right. But we have fun on the gray area. There's sometimes a little slop. We have fun with that. There's real discussion. There's real debate. And there's phenomenal guests. So
tune in on Thursday. We'll be
Yes.
back. Rex will also be live probably tomorrow and Tuesday. But
I will be live tomorrow. I'll be live Tuesday. I'll be live Wednesday. Join us on Thursday for another marquee show.
100%. Thank you guys. Take care. Andrew, you can take us.
Modern life has left us out of balance. Long ago it was once said, certain remedies could grant a man the vitality of a horse. For over 6,000 years, these natural remedies have been harvested and tested by generations. Why create complex formulas when nature's roots are still in our hands? Try Primal Core. Ancient remedies for modern life.